Good evening, everyone. I'll call to order the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of East Ridge, May 14, 2026. I'd like to invite Jeff Baden, Senior Pastor of Hamilton Life Church, if you'll come forward, provide our invocation, and then lead us in our pledge, if everyone stand, if able.
Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for this day. We thank you for this spring weather and the wonderful weather outside. Lord, and we just find joy in you today. God, I pray over this meeting tonight. Lord, give each member of City Council, Lord, give our mayor great wisdom tonight. Lord, we pray your blessing upon East Ridge, because as you tell us in your word, Lord, we're supposed to pray for the city that you've sent us, because how they go is how we go. So, Father, we pray your blessing over our city, Lord, over each member of our government, Lord, over each member of City Council, Lord, and over all the different business that has to be handled and dealt with today. God, again, great wisdom. Lord, how would you like this to be handled? We walk in line with that. Father, we thank you for your goodness, mercy, grace. Thank you for your Son, Jesus. And we pray all this in your Son's precious and holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Roll call, Ms. Dietrich.
Mayor Williams,
Here.
Vice Mayor Tyler,
Here.
Councilmember Cagle,
Here.
Councilmember Ezell,
Here.
Councilmember Witt,
Here.
Interim City Manager Williams,
Here.
City Attorney Litchford.
Here.
All right, the first item we have on the agenda is the Milestone Awards. This is where we award and recognize city employees that have reached a milestone during their employment here with the city. And we have three. We have Michelle Signigalio for 5 years in HR, Jonah Goddard in the police department for 5 years, and Christopher Cope in the fire department for 10 years. So we appreciate their service to our city and all of our employees for the service that they provide to our city and to our citizens. If it wasn't for them, we would not have the city that we have, and it's appreciated. So we'll move to the next item, which is the approval of the consent agenda, which is the approval of the minutes from April 23rd, 2026 minutes, and then the declaration of surplus property. So I assume everyone's had an opportunity to review those, and I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
A motion to approve by Councilmember Witt and a second by Vice Mayor Tyler. Do you have any discussion or corrections? See none. Roll call, Ms. Dietrich.
Vice Mayor Tyler,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Ezell,
Yes.
Councilmember Witt,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes, the consent agenda is approved. We'll move to the next item, which is communications of citizens. This is an opportunity for the citizens to come forward and address the council with any questions, concerns, or accolades, and each citizen will have up to 5 minutes. There is a public hearing for the upcoming, 2 public hearings for the upcoming ordinances, so you will have an opportunity at that point as well to get up and speak about a specific agenda item, but you're more than welcome to anyone to come forward now to address the council. All right, I see none. So I'll move to communications from council members. I'll start on this side. Councilmember Cagle.
I have none at this time.
Vice Mayor Tyler.
Thank you, Mayor. The East Ridge Optimist Club will be holding their 13th annual fishing rodeo on Saturday, June 6th. Fishing begins at 9 a.m. And runs till 12 p.m. We're going to have free hamburgers and hot dogs starting about 10:30 while supplies last. We'll have an award ceremony after scoring's wrapped up around 1 o'clock. We'll have fishing supplies for those who don't have any, but we encourage you to bring your own. Registration is now up on the East Ridge Optimist website at eastridgeoptimistclub.org. It's a wonderful event. We have it every year. Luckily, it's on a day where you don't need a fishing license, so you can come down there, bring the grandkids or your kids, and have a great time. That's awesome.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Witt. Councilmember Ezell.
Yeah, I had a phone call. I was asked, Mac Smith Road. We've went through and patched a few places, but a lot of them, some people seem to think we're going to pave the whole thing. Is that correct or not correct?
Councilman Ezell, from what I understand, talking with Asa, is Scott, Chris Vaughn with Street Department, and members from ASA went out to these locations. They reviewed the areas, and if some roads didn't need a complete pavement and they needed some areas that were very deepier or different situation like that, those are the areas they're just concerned on. Some of those will be one lane, some of them will be a half a lane. That way they can continue on and try to get some of these other areas that are in need of the asphalting as well.
Well, I encourage each and every member to go drive that road right now. It'll beat you to death. It's pathetic. We shouldn't even put anything on it if that's all we were gonna do. That was the opinion of the citizens that I talked to, and then I went and drove it just to verify it. They are correct. It's pretty bad.
I agree with you 100%. I think a lot of that leads back to the current traffic that's going down Max Smith now. That traffic is going into Georgia, and you can go down there at any time in the morning or evening, and you'll see dump truck after dump truck after dump truck traveling down that road. Over a period of time, that's going to be a major contributing factor for that.
It'll have to be fixed sooner or later. It's just like Scruggs Road. Dump trucks killing it, but I think ASA has a good plan for it whenever we get the money for that.
I agree.
But that's all I got.
Yeah, we can look into it, and we can look and see if we have any additional funds, or definitely put it as a priority with that upcoming
Yeah.
next
Definitely.
schedule. Thank you, sir. Anything else? All right, so bear with me, because I have usually a lot of things to mention about things that are going on in our city and our library, and there's a lot of things, so I want to take just a couple minutes. So one of the first things I'll talk about is the fire and police department. They actually are having a Hands Across the Border on Thursday, May the 21st, 2026. The event is held by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office and hosted by East Ridge Police Department at Venue 1921. The event will bring together law enforcement agencies across Tennessee and Georgia for an enforcement and awareness campaign. Multi-jurisdictional sobriety checkpoint will take place on Russell Boulevard at the state border following the meeting. So I wanted to mention that. Also, coming up is on May the 23rd is the police department Spring into Safety. So the police department invites the community out for a fun information day at Spring into Safety event. That will be from 10 to 5. And by the way, I don't see the time on the Hands Across the Border. Chief, do you have that information? About 6. Okay. So back to the Spring into Safety. That's going to be from 10 to 5 at Camp Jordan Pavilion. Bring the whole family. There'll be a variety of activities, including a K-9 demonstration, snacks and drinks. There'll be a mock traffic stop, a bounce house, SWAT display. You'll be able to tour fire trucks and the ambulance. There'll be car seat checks, DUI prevention information. So it's a great opportunity to meet the local first responders and learn valuable safety tips while having a fun day with the community. Then I always love to talk about the library. There's so many events going on at our library. So first and foremost, they're actually having a food drive that is actually underway, benefiting the East Ridge Community Food Pantry. You can drop off at the library through May the 30th. You also can drop off at the parking lot of Southern Hunter Power Sports on May the 30th between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. And then they have Knitwitch Crocheting and Knitting Club is this coming Friday from 2 to 4. All skill levels are welcome. No registration is required, but you do need to bring your items and supplies. Then on the 18th, Monday, Diamond Art Club meets usually on the third Monday, but they moved it up because of the Memorial Day. So beautiful diamond arts items that they create, but you'll need to register for that. It is free. It's 423-867-7323. Then there's Quilting Pleasures every Tuesday, which is the next one is the 19th from 3:30 to 4:30. So if you love quilting, join their club. Every meeting will be a relaxing time together and share ideas and do some quilting. No registrations required. Then for the kiddos, there is Middle School Book Club. It's Thursday, May the 21st from 3:30 to 4:30. That meets every third Thursday from September through May, ages 10 and up, which is the 5th grade to the 8th grade. You can call 423-867-7323 to register. And this month's book is Ghost by Jason Reynolds. Then Little Sprouts Gardening Club is May the 23rd, which is a Saturday 11 to 12. They always meet on the 2nd and 4th Saturday of the month from March to July. That's ages 5 till 11. You do need to register. 423-867-7323, as I mentioned before. And then Then come and kick off the summer with reading with their Mestival. So it's Saturday the 30th from 1 to 2:30. So they have popcorn, they'll have snow cones, and the foam. If you haven't seen the pictures, there's a lot of foam they have with the kids play in. That starts at 1:30. Then their summer reading is kicking off. Registration begins May the 26th, and each participant that reads 5 books and teens who reads one will receive to be eligible to earn tickets to redeem prizes. The logs will be due on the 21st of July. This is for all ages through 12th grade. If you have any questions, you can call the library, which I mentioned is 867-7323. Then our shelter. We have an amazing shelter, and there's a lot of ways if you were interested to get involved. There's adoption, so animals become, so they can be permanent part of your family. They have trial adoption, so if you want to try a 2-week, no fault trial period to allow adopters to ensure that the dog or the cat is a good fit, then you can foster animals. Then you can volunteer. There's a long range of things you can help to do with volunteering at the shelter. So great opportunities for that. So then let me talk about some other things going on in the city. So on the 30th, April 30th, we proudly recognized Donald Rogers for his city sanitation department as he retired after 31 years of dedicated service to the community. For more than 2 decades, Donald drove the same route through our neighborhoods, collecting garbage, recycling, and refuge, becoming a familiar and dependable presence of so many residents to so many residents in East Ridge. His commitment, consistency, and strong work ethic left a lasting impact on both his team and the citizens that he served each day. So we celebrate his remarkable public service career, and he'll be greatly missed, and we wish him the best and thank him for his 31 years of service. And we congratulate him on his retirement. Almost done. 2 other things I want to talk about. So East Ridge High School, on the 29th, I attended the high school senior day ceremony. This is very worth talking about, both of these next ones. They all are, but these are too. So this is our kids. It is a special day celebrating and honoring our graduating class of East Ridge High School. We had an incredible number of outstanding students we recognized, along with truly remarkable total number of scholarships awarded. So listen to this: 15 institutional awards, 4 athletic awards, 19 departmental awards, 15 full scholarships to UTK, UT Knoxville, full ride. 35 students earned Hope-based ACT, and many others will qualify based on their final GPA, which is a $4,500 for a 4-year college and $3,200 for a community college. 23 Wilder NAFIT technical training scholarships, which is around $2,000 per year. Over 200 students applied for the Tennessee Promise funding. Total scholarships awarded, $5.8 million to these students. Amazing. Then also this week I was able was honored to stand before the graduating class of East Ridge High School and participate in such a milestone. Their graduation is more than a ceremony. It is a celebration of hard work and presence and growth and memories that will last a lifetime. So I want to recognize these students who have accomplished so much to make our community so proud, from the academic accomplishments to their scholarships that I mentioned, leadership, the athletic service, and personal growth. So congratulations to the incredible achievement. Their future is bright, as well as East Ridge, and we're proud to cheer them on to their next chapter. So no matter where life takes them, they'll always be remembered in our community. Then we definitely believe in them. So congratulations to the class of 2026. And I'm done for the moment. I'll hand it to.
Optimist Club for a minute. We do give a $500 check to the most optimist East Ridge pioneer. The
We did
school
do
picks
that.
Those. So we're very proud of the fact that the Optimist Club does this.
Yep, that was one of the other awards. I was consolidated in some of these others with the 15 institutional awards. That was one of them. So thanks for highlighting that. Interim City Manager Williams.
Mayor and Council, I have a couple of things. First of all, the East Ridge Library has requested permission from the council, as well as I am. Since this is on city property and it is at City Hall, they would like to take the library side of the building, take the shrubbery up, the landscaping, they would put sod down, fence around the area on the side, and a couple of benches for the children to have the opportunity to go outside, do different activities, read books, color, different things like that. Looking at the cost, our building maintenance would install the fencing, the sod, pull the shrub up, and we would order three tables, one bench, and the fencing. The bench would be dedicated to the employee that used to work at the library that passed away in the past year. So I think that would be a wonderful contribution. But I wanted to run this by you. It's going to be about $6,000. Most of that is for, or all of that's pretty much for material. Our building maintenance will be able to install the fencing, sod, and pull the shrubs up. But it being at City Hall, I wanted to get the council's approval before we went forward with that.
Yes, sir.
I'm not correct, I'm mistaken, but the city manager's got the right to spend up to $10,000 at his discretion. So I make the motion, we proceed.
Second.
There you go. So we have a first, we have a second. Oh, to say all in favor, say aye. Since
Aye.
so yeah, he does, but he wanted just to bring it before the council and make sure we were good and on board with that. So good to proceed, sir.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The last thing I've got is, of course, this will be my last meeting as the interim city manager. I would like to thank the mayor, council members, city attorney, and city employees for your support and trust in me over the last 3 months. We've jumped through some hurdles. We've kept business going as it should be here in the city. With any complaint that's coming in, I physically went out to each house and followed up with those complaints personally. So I want to thank you again for your support and your trust in me. That's all I've got, Mayor.
Well, thank you as well for stepping up and stepping in and taking care of business in the absence and after the retirement. There's going to have more to say next council meeting because you're not done yet, but thank you. All right. Then we will move, there is no old business, so we'll move to item 9, new business, and this is a public hearing for ordinance number 1244.
Public hearing for ordinance 1244, an ordinance of the East Ridge City Council to amend the zoning regulations and the zoning map of the city of East Ridge, Tennessee, so as to rezone the property located at 1502 Swope Drive, tax map number 169K-B-003 from R2 Residential Duplex District to C2 General Commercial District.
Thank you, sir. I will open up this public hearing. Mr. Howell, if you will then brief us on this request.
Yes, Mayor and Council, good evening. On April the 6th, 2026, the East Ridge Planning Commission reviewed the rezoning application for the property at 1502 Swope Drive to rezone the parcel from R2 Duplex District to C2 Commercial District. The request to rezone for the expansion of EA Power Sports with a proposed standalone building located on the 1502 Swope parcel to be utilized for the shipments of their production or their product to be uncarded, assembled, and detailed within the building. The Planning Commission recommended the approval of the rezoning based on East Ridge and RPA staff recommendations. Mayor and Council, it's very important to understand the historical zoning for this area. Before the approval of the East Ridge zoning ordinance 481, the property at 1502 Swope Drive was rezoned as local business. The property, the intent of the local business zoning district was for neighborhood scale retail and service businesses. Following the adoption of Ordinance 481, new zoning districts were established within that district, designating 1502 Swope Drive as C2 Commercial District. In 1992, a request to rezone the property from 1502 property from C2 General Commercial District to R1 Residential District was approved under Ordinance 531. This change was made to bring the existing single-family dwelling into compliance. Subsequently, in 2003, a second rezoning was submitted and approved, changing the rezoning from R1 single family to R2 duplex district. This was necessary to bring the single family home, which had been converted somewhere between 1993 and 2003 into a duplex, would bring it into compliance for the current zoning district. Now, the parcel at 1 Woodward Circle was originally zoned local business, and it was blanket rezoned C2 when Ordinance 41 was adopted. It currently maintains this same designation while housing a single-family dwelling. Adjacent to 1502 Swope, the property at 1504 Swope Drive was rezoned from R1 Residential to C2 General Commercial District through an owner's application approved under Ordinance 592 on July the 13th, 1995. With no conditions, and that's very important because nothing, basically anything, all the 33 permitted uses within the C2 district are allowed on that property right now with no conditions. That property also houses a single-family dwelling. Both 1 Woodward Circle and 1504 Swope Drive currently are C2 commercial district with no conditions in place. And like I said, this would allow any permitted use within the C2 district. The historical zoning of this is very significant for this area, particularly because it identifies an established C2 districts adjacent to the 1502 Swope Drive property. If the request to rezone 1502 Swope Drive is approved, it would reverse a current spot zoning of an R2 district within an established C2 commercial district. Staff strongly recommends that the following conditions be placed on the rezoning of the parcel at 1502 Swope if approved. Install a 6-foot-high privacy fence along the southern property line. Limit the building height. Currently, the C2 district allows for a 72-foot height building with a 4-foot parapet. Currently, the max height in the R1 residential district is 35 feet. City Council will also look at implementing exterior lighting guidelines to minimize light spillover for the area, and also establish use conditions that would limit any potential nuisance for the adjacent residential properties. This includes regulations for automobile service stations, car washes, repair garages, ambulance services, miniature golf courses, drive-in theaters, outdoor amusements, recreational vehicle camps, and other camping facilities. The C2 district permits a wide range of uses. Additional conditions may be warranted. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, sir. All right, so first I'll do is I'll ask, is the applicant here, and would they like to address the council? If you'll come forward and provide your name and address for the record.
Thank you for having me. My name is William Benjamin Chandler. I live at 1144 Enclave Bay Drive, Chattanooga, Tennessee, 37415. As the council knows, EA Power Sports is a sister company of a company that's been in existence in East Ridge for 35 years, Easy Auto. So we've been local for a very long time, consider ourselves neighbors. We would like to be good neighbors to all those residents behind us. We have no problem with the restrictions staff has proposed, and we look forward to expanding our business. I think it is an important distinction that, you know, we applied for a franchise, Segway Power Sports, and we received that franchise. We have those units on the ground, and we're going to start selling them at EA. And so we have to build a final assembly facility somewhere. And there are other local parcels that are currently available. And one of them that Mr. Howell mentioned without restriction. So there's what I hope is an easy passage tonight without having to go further into the neighborhood to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. And like I said, this work will be done internally in this building, and we're very committed to trying to be as good of residents of that area like we have been over at Easy Auto for the past 35 years. So, and happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Council, any questions for the applicant at this time?
Yes, sir. So now you're wanting to take this piece of property, build what I call a shop to assemble these side by sides. All right, sir. So these are going to be pretty big pieces of equipment coming in there on the back of a flatbed, a tractor trailer. Then you're going to have to get a forklift to unload them. So where are you going to be parking this tractor trailer flatbed to do all your unloading? You going to be parking it on Swope Drive?
No, sir, at Easy Auto, like we've been
So
doing.
you're going to park it on Easy Auto and then make the circle around to.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's what we're currently doing.
So there will not be no blockages of Swope Drive by tractor trailers or no flatbeds.
No, sir. And if there ever was any, it will not be from our direction. We have plenty of room at Easy Auto to unload completely off of Swope Drive.
None of this will be stored outside. When y'all unload it, it's gonna be stored inside this
That's
new
correct.
building.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to leave a piece of
Yeah, I
equipment
understand
like this
that, but-
outside. Yeah.
But I just had
Yes.
to have it settled in my mind.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I used to be a builder at Southern Honda many years ago, and that was kind of my job, building them side by sides. You just take it out of the crate, slap the wheels on it, pull the plastic off the fairings, charge the battery, fill up the air tires, fill the tires up with air, and then give it a couple starts to make sure it runs. It's kind of an easy, low impact operation. Am I understanding this, or is it different? It changed since then.
It's essentially that these days. Yeah, each manufacturer has slightly different packaging, systems, but it's essentially that.
Okay. And so I've spoke with the general manager over there, and he's assured me that the unloading of the truck will continue at Easy Auto as it is right now.
Yes, sir.
And I'm glad to hear you say that you're going to continue that process and not blocking Swope Drive over there. So thank you for that.
I know that you've agreed to the conditions that we're asking.
Yes, ma'am.
And I know that you met with some of the citizens after the meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Was there anything that they brought up that we need to know? That they brought up to you that,
There wasn't anything additional. So we're happy to, if there is something reasonable that they would like to have, that's not, insanely cost prohibitive, we're fine to do that. We have no intent to hurt anybody in that neighborhood. We've addressed test drives with both Easy Auto and EA Powersport management. We're now not encouraging any customers to go through Swope Drive. I can't guarantee that nobody goes down there because it is a public street, but we don't encourage and would discourage somebody if they asked us to do that. So, yes, ma'am.
Did I understand you to say that if, for say this didn't go through, you just buy the next one down since it's C2 and that's where you'd go? Did I kind of understand that?
That would be my next move.
But at the same time, you said you're trying to be neighbor friendly.
I am trying to run a business and a profitable business, and so I need a final assembly shop as close to my retail facility as I can get. So,
What about the one across the street, the old pool place that's empty?
the what?
The old pool place.
I've already bought this piece of property.
Just asking. So,
Thank you, sir. Well, I don't have any at this time, but now I open it up for anyone that is in favor or in opposition. Now is your opportunity to come forward and address the council. All right, we got one here. Give us your name and address for the record, please. Yep. She beat you to it.
I'm sorry, I was ready. My name is Ashley Bankston. I'm formerly known as Ashley McLeod, and right now I reside at 222 Warren Street, Rossville, Georgia, 30711. I am in opposition of this because I'm going to tell you right now, this has been a horrible experience for my family and everybody. Right now my blood pressure is through the roof because I feel like I can't breathe. My father has lived there for almost 20 years in that address at 1502. This is the second time that Easy Auto has put him out of his house twice in my lifetime. 2006, when my mom and them had to first split up, it was really hard for my family. He had nowhere to go and they put him out. So he went next door to 1502 and went to the landlord and said, hey, I will work for you for free. I need a place to go for my kids. And guess what? He's been doing it ever since for free. Day in, day out. All the neighbors can attest to it because he works for them. He does the work and he takes care of them. And I just cannot believe that this has happened to him twice. He is 64 years old. He doesn't know change. Now his home has been uprooted for the second time. And nobody is saying anything about it. And they want to be good neighbors, but yet I can tell you I've taken my prom pictures in their parking lot. My first car sat in their parking lot. And they never once came over and tried to get to know him. But yet they've taken his home twice. Then on March... this was in 2025, sorry, I'm really nervous right now because this is something that I have been really upset about, and everybody told me that I needed to watch my back. I shouldn't go up here and put my voice out, but I'm not going to stand down because my dad has taught me better than that. because this city, he has done nothing but just do work for everybody. I have contributed myself. I went to East Ridge High School and I've contributed plenty to this community. And I just feel like it has fallen apart. Now, he has a place to go. He doesn't want to stay there, but I'm worried about the other people. The people I can name by their first names, and I can guarantee you Easy Auto doesn't. They don't know their first names. I know all their grandchildren, their children, and everything else, and I've watched them grow up. But I'm scared for them. I really am. I'm really worried about the person who lives right across the street from him. This was in 2025. He called me freaking out, saying he couldn't leave his house. This was in the building of Power Sports. And there was a dump truck sitting right in front of his vehicle. He could not leave. So I go and talk to this driver right here. You know what he tells me? I need to move along. And I was pregnant at the time, so my hormones were through the roof. And I went off on the owner of the company and everybody that would hear it, because that's not right. I'm pregnant, and the first person I'm calling is my daddy, because I'm daddy's little girl, and he's going to be the first one before anybody that calls him, any children, anybody that needs him. He's going to be the first one there. So I went over there and I made them move. I called the city and I said, you know what happens if there's an emergency? They can't get to him. They acted like it wasn't a problem. And that's a problem. This is not good when they cannot get to him. He can't leave or go make money to make a living. And this was this year, March 17th. This was at 9:27. They were going to do the survey for Easy Auto. He comes home. There's a few people standing by his property. They're looking at his stuff. They're looking into his backyard. They're looking at him like, what are you doing at our property? And he approached them, and they told him verbatim that they were going to whoop his butt if he continued to approach him, to approach the men that are literally standing on his property. So he calls me freaking out. What do I do? This is getting out of hand, and he basically just gave up. I watched my father give up, and I'm not, because I made sure he has a place to go. He is stable, and I made sure of it. But the thing is that everybody else, they didn't care. The people who were tearing his house down, they don't care. They looked at him like he was a bug that they were stepping on because they're getting their way. This is his bedroom window where they built the EA Power Sports. It's right outside his window. And guess what? He called me all the time saying that they started first thing in the morning. First thing. And they did it as close to that property line as possible. How is that neighborly? He lost plenty of sleep, and I can guarantee you that they also saw him going day in and day out with his trailer, going to work from the time the sun came up, from the time that the sun set every single day. And they want to say that they're neighborly? They want to say that they're doing this for the community? What are they bringing that Southern Honda and Pandora are not doing on the next block? That's what I want to know, because they think that they are the best thing that's happened to East Ridge, but they have taken 2 homes away from somebody in less than 20 years. 2 homes to rebuild something that we already have. We have plenty of motorcycles and side-by-sides that's literally on the next block. They're not doing anything differently. And I have also heard that, they want to try to invite them to their hamburger and hot dog nights at, Easy Auto. That doesn't fix things. That does not fix things at all. And they continuously went to the landlord and constantly went to him with offers until he finally could not say no. And so he had to say, he had to go to him and say, look, I have no choice but to say no. To say yes. He could not say no, because they constantly went with him with offers. And that's exactly what happened the first time when I was a kid. They constantly did it. They constantly went to the landlord and said, I want to buy this property. And then they said, you need to get out. That does not sound like somebody who cares about the community at all, or anybody in it, because, he may not have the money to contribute to East Ridge, but he knows how to do hard labor and blood, sweat, and tears. And he will make sure that he does his side of the bargain every single time. And he has been the best supporter I've ever had, and I will not let this happen to somebody else, because this is just not right. And he did not want me to come up here and speak, but I'm not going to let it happen. My kids deserve to know that their mother stood up, and I want him to be proud of me, because he taught me to be better than that.
Thank you, ma'am. Do you have those with you as well? Perfect. Who was the next one that wanted to come forward? Okay.
My name is Anna DeGarmo, and I live at 12 Woodard Circle. It is the circle that goes on the slope. I have a prepared statement here.
No, sir. That is if you wanted to sign in ahead of. If not, we just ask for your name and address for the record.
I have a prepared statement. I have a prepared statement here, and it talks about my neighbors, and it talks about how we've lived there for 50 years, 25 years, 45 years, and the only people that leave those homes are the ones that die. People live in those homes forever. Because I was going to talk about that, and I was going to talk about, the long-term commitments that people make. But the gentleman for Easy Auto actually said that he may have to take more of our property, and nobody here said a word. Has he got, I want to ask, does he have carte blanche to my house if he needs it for Easy Auto? I mean, he actually said he didn't want to have to take more property. I'm paraphrasing here, but he did say that. So tell me, what is going on? Has he got carte blanche? Is everybody here supporting him that he can have anything he wants? That's what I want to know.
So, what has occurred in the past 30 years is whenever they redistrict back in, and Mr. Howell, please come up and correct me if I state anything wrong, but I believe he tried to explain this earlier. So back in 89, there was a rezoning ordinance that went through and applied anywhere there was a local business up and down Ringo Road, it got reclassed as commercial, C2. So the current property where they're at now was C2, and the one that is up for rezoning request was C2. Since then, you had 1504, which is the one south, which is further deeper into your subdivision, was rezoned from R1 to C2 in 1995, 31 years ago. Then 1502 was then rezoned from C2 to R1 in 92, and then it was then rezoned from R1 to R2 in 2004. So currently 1504 is C2. It does not have to come before this body to be rezoned. So anybody, whether it's Easy Auto or any other person, developer, or anyone, can buy 1504, and they can then, to Mr. Howell's point earlier, build anything that's in the 31 types of businesses that can be built there. And there's not a thing this council can do because it's already zoned as commercial.
All right. Okay.
Does that answer your question?
That answers my question. Now I have other things I want to talk about.
Okay. There is no time limit on the public hearing.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay. The planning commission did not adequately vet this proposal. And there's a procedural concern that must be acknowledged. The planning commission did not thoroughly evaluate the true nature of the proposed business. All they had to do was drive up and down Ringo Road to see two businesses that were run properly. They could not go to Camp Jordan and see the business being developed there. They could have gone into one of the facilities the city operated and perhaps realized the request for the zone change was not a good thing for our neighborhood. After I spoke to the zoning committee, the applicant started describing how they were going to handle shipments, and they were going to transfer on both sides of Swope. That's dangerous. I knew immediately the odds of the business needing to use forklifts would be substantial. This aroused my concern, so I stood to use the rest of my 10 minutes. I was snapped at by the lead committee member. She and the others did not care about the safety, and my concerns were dropped. It was obvious she was upset because I inferred with her I interfered with her done deal, and so this is who you had for your to try to determine this. And it says the committee's analysis of this zoning request is slipshod and an embarrassment to East Ridge. It appears they knew little about what business was going on, what was going to entail, and didn't even try to learn more. This council is now being asked to approve a rezoning based on incomplete and insufficient review. This is not fair to the residents or to the integrity of the zoning. Okay, another thing I want to talk about. This zoning will not be the last, and he's kind of said that it won't be the last, maybe probably won't be the last. But he's not just talking about C2. We're talking about R1 and R2, because it speaks to the future of our neighborhood. If R2 to C2 request is approved, it will not be the last request brought forward by the developer. And he just basically told you that, but he said it was already C2. His current plans are not compatible with the type of business he wants to operate. The building he plans cannot support the industrial style activity he is proposing. What this tells me, and what it should tell everyone looking at this objectively, is that this rezoning is only the first step. It appears he wants to see if he can be successful before he invests in that type of facility that would be required for this business. In other words, this is a test case. It is the natural progression when a business is placed on a property that cannot support it. It either moves or it fails. He wants to try out the business on the cheap with my neighbors paying the price. Okay. The applicant's actions raise serious concerns about process impairment. Applicant purchased the additional property without a zoning contingency, which is highly unusual. Most responsible buyers protect themselves by making the sale contingent on rezoning approval. The fact that he did not suggest he may already feel confident about the outcome. He has also installed an electric sign advertising the off-road vehicles he wants to sell on the building facing Ringo Road before any rezoning approval, before any building approval, and before this council has even voted. That is not the type of behavior of someone waiting for permission. That is the behavior of someone who believes the decision has already been made. It is arrogance, and someone in the government must have told him that there was no problem. I'd like to know who that person was, because that's collusion. And when I raised the concerns about not being notified to the planning commission meeting, I was told there was a sign I could see, because I fall on the 300 mark, right? Well, that's kind of ridiculous. Well, I didn't see the sign because he let it fall on the ground and never put it back up. And the sign is supposed to be up. It's legal and it's supposed to be up. And he never did put that sign back up again. He just let it go. So that's, this is who we're having to deal with. And let's see. So anyway, these actions do not inspire trust. They make the process feel predetermined, rushed, and disrespectful to the residents who will be most affected. This is very important to me and the lady that was up here before. The rezoning has already frightened older and vulnerable residents. The rezoning request has genuinely frightened some of the older residents on our street. They are worried about the value of their homes, and they're worried about the safety on the street where this equipment will be operating. These are people who have lived for decades here. One neighbor has lived here for 50 years. Some are very ill. Many are elderly. They deserve peace, stability, and safety in the place they called home. They should not have to fear forklifts operating near their driveways, industrial equipment moving across the only entrance to the neighborhood, or the possibility of declining property values. When a rezoning request causes fear among the very people who built and sustained this community, that is a sign that the request is not compatible with the neighborhood and not in the public interest. This is a disgrace, particularly considering that the applicant lives in a high-end neighborhood on the river. I suppose the inequity means nothing to him and his partners. My neighbors are the ones you should be protecting. But when I tell people about the questionable zoning request, the response I hear over and over is, well, it is East Ridge. and that breaks my heart. I had hoped we were moving toward a community we could be proud of, a community that had put corruption, collusion, and backroom assumptions behind us. But the way that this request has been unfolded has shaken that confidence. The zoning decision should never leave the public wondering whether the outcome was predetermined. It should never reinforce the old reputation of the East Ridge has worked so hard to move beyond. This council has the opportunity tonight to show that East Ridge is better than that, a place where decisions are made based on compatibility, safety, and fairness. Residents should not have to sacrifice their neighborhood. The voters and residents of East Ridge should not have to sacrifice their neighborhoods because the business refuses to find a location that is actually appropriate for its operations. The applicant is not being denied the ability to operate a business. He is simply being told that a high-intensity commercial or industrial operation does not belong inside an R1 neighborhood. Zoning exists to protect neighborhoods, not to bend them out of shape for the convenience of a single business owner. A business owner's unwillingness to choose an appropriate site should not become our neighborhood's problem. It should not become our safety risk, and it should not become our loss of property value. He is using us to build his business on our backs. The code enforcement team's mission statement is as follows. Our mission is to implement the codes necessary to provide a safe and healthy neighborhood environment for our residents while maintaining the high property values that have made East Ridge a desirable area for residential and commercial development. Is this always true? Are there exceptions for friends of the committee members? Now I want to talk about the Sunshine Law because actually I think there's been collusion because this guy.
All right, you mentioned that 3 times, so I'm going to go on record and tell you that I uphold the Sunshine Law. I have not ever spoken to any council member about any agenda item, nor have I spoken to Easy Auto, anybody at Easy Auto, nor have I talked to any of the planning commission members about any decision, any agreement, any collusion. I'm speaking for myself. They're more than welcome to speak for themselves, but I hold ethics and the Sunshine Law very, very personal and strict. And if you have any evidence of anything, let me finish, please. I would love to have it brought to me and to my city attorney, and it will be investigated because it is breaking the law.
Here's the evidence that I have. It's not specific, well, but perhaps it is. But you know, I drive out of my neighborhood, and this has not been approved. And he has a sign up on his business for this new thing that maybe not he may not be able to even do if it's not approved. So somebody had to tell him that the skids have been greased, and that's what I'm talking about. How did he know to put that sign up? How did he know? He didn't. The skids are greased. That's all I can think of, and somebody did it. And to me, that Sunshine Law, I appreciate you defending yourself, and I really appreciate you saying that you would review it, and the attorney would review it, and all of that. But right now, everything that's happening now is questionable. Every single thing. And that's all I've got to say.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Do
Mayor, the
appreciate it.
applicant is here. He can address why he put that sign up if we could get him up here.
Are we referring to the rezoning sign?
The sign for the new Segways that they're going to be selling.
And I do want to ask about the rezoning sign too, but go ahead, sir.
Well, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Is there a problem with me selling new Segways today at my facility? Okay.
No, sir.
All right. That's why my sign's up. Well, that's what she's saying, that I know something about how they're going to vote.
The sign was up and nobody doesn't have been done with this
I have a small garage there that I can do warranty work in the current building, so I satisfy I'm in full compliance with my franchise. Well, no, don't dismiss me. You got up here and just slandered my name for 30 minutes like I've done something to this council.
Hold on. You'll have hold on a sec, sir. You'll have an opportunity to come forward instead of screaming from the actual chamber. So. So the sign you're referring to is a sign for advertising Segway?
Yes,
Okay.
it's on my building. We're selling new Segway.
And you're selling them now?
They're gonna be there next week.
Next week, okay. Anything else?
Anything wrong with that?
If you're selling them, no. The rezoning sign, whose responsibility is that? Was that put out by the city or is that put out by the applicant?
It's put out by the city.
Okay,
And that was put out March the 26th. Now, when we post those on those properties, what happens to that sign after that? I couldn't tell you, but Councilman Cagle has asked previously, make sure that we put a photograph of when these signs were posted out there, and we've been doing that ever since. Councilman Cagle's asked.
and then there's a notification within a certain radius,
300-foot mayor.
and that is based on the ordinance.
That is correct.
Okay.
It was there at 5:45 today.
Thank you. Anything else?
Yes, sir.
This time?
Yeah.
All right.
The two things I have is that, if the council approves this request and it turns out to be vacated, how do we get our lives back? What's happening if it becomes vacated? Do you sell it to somebody else? I don't know.
So the city is not involved in any negotiation and selling of property. So that is negotiated between the landlord and whoever is actually wanting to purchase it. And, you know, I wasn't involved. I don't know anything about it, but evidently they've went ahead and they purchased this, and now they're applying for it to be rezoned so they can do commercial use on it, which it was rezoned from commercial back to R1 and then R2. So,
I have one more comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Appreciate you answering it. How can council members keep promised fidelity to Eastridge citizens if they vote for an applicant who is not a constituent? Can you explain the benefits of Eastridge since we are giving up 60% of revenue? If this business fails, we get nothing. We get nothing. If this business fails, we get nothing.
I don't know if I'm following your question. You said 60% of the sales. What?
Eastridge, I think this has to do with this border region. It's the border region.
Okay.
So we're giving up 60% revenue that's going to be swiped from us and given to
No,
the
ma'am.
border region.
It's not.
So if this business fails, we get nothing.
So the border region is a state-funded economic development piece of legislation that passed, and the percentage you're referring to is that the city agreed to is a 60-40 split on the sales tax, the state sales tax that is collected. The money that goes to the state that they divvy out across the entire state, that is based on that agreement, it comes back to this city and can be used to help incentivize development, and we keep a portion of it for the city. So it is not taxpayers' money, it's not property tax, it is sales tax that's collected that is sold in that business there directly, and it's a state portion. So it's not money that we're giving from the coffers of the city or property tax to the developers.
Well,
Sometimes I know a lot of people get confused about the way that works, and we try to explain it as much as possible as we can.
well, I appreciate you letting me talk. One of the reasons I lost my temper was because I see what's happening with the sign. I see what's happening with the sales sign, with the rezoning sign being left on the ground. I see all these assumptions, and all of these people back here, they have the assumption that this is a done deal, and that's going to cause anger, and that's going to cause resentment. The whole feeling of this is that it's a done deal. You say it's not, I can accept that, but I don't know if these people can. So, the whole story is just a disaster. The way that it was handled, in my opinion, it could have been better. He could have not put his sign out, knowing that we thought that he had to get the approval before he did that. I mean, get the zoning before he did that.
I think he's just going ahead and trying to sell the Segways before he builds the actual facility to help facilitate more. So,
Okay, thank you for listening.
yeah, if I can reiterate, and I'll entertain others definitely to come forward. This council is dealing with this rezoning and spot zoning situation that resulted back in over 30 years ago. So this situation occurred in 31 years ago that we're having to address today. And I definitely are looking at this thoroughly and intense, and I appreciate your feedback. And I assume everyone else is as well on this council. I don't want to speak for you, but. Yes, ma'am. If you'll give us your name and your address, please.
I'm Elaine Powell, and I live at 3 Woodard Circle. And if I'd known this when I bought my home 17 years ago, that this had been something that was discussed 30 years ago, and I've lived in the East Ridge area, I was not aware, I don't know that I would have bought 3 Woodard Circle. Because, like I said, it has been our home, like I said, 17 years. And we've always loved it. We rented on the other side at 23 Woodard Circle when my son graduated from East Ridge in '92. But at the same point, this just seems like our community is, we know we're in the city. I mean, I look out and sit on my patio and I see, Ringo Road and the everything, the ambulance service and everything. And I know that there's going to be traffic, and I know there's going to be this, there's going to be that. But just like with Swope Drive, we had the problem with the sinkhole. We were afraid to even kind of drive around it because you really couldn't. So you'd have to be going out Clemens, and then, everything else was trying to come across it. Then it got deeper. So that's a totally different thing. But just knowing what I'm hearing tonight as far as this zoning and this 30-year thing and everything, it is disturbing. And my husband does get excited about it. He's concerned, as we all are. But you asked about the signatures, and that was something that me and my husband, we both did on foot. And for me, walking around that circle and talking to everybody, I know we were out one night for 3 hours talking to different residents and different neighbors, and some that I had not really, met that well other than, waving.
Right.
But we did gather 30 signatures, and they were all concerned in the fact they did not want the additional traffic, the additional noise. Like I said, we all live on Ringo Road. We know what that is. But at the same point, we know testing, and they're going to try to keep, the cars from leaving Easy Auto, testing the cars, because Woodard Circle is the perfect thing to go around and, test your car. It's a perfect thing to go around and test your motorcycle, or whatever. But that is something that, concerns us, because trying to back out of the driveway, just the other day, we've had our wall that's next to our driveway torn twice of cars coming down the hill real fast, and we're having to replace the wall next to our driveway. So I can imagine, how is this going to affect us when more additional, whether they're testing or neighbors or whatever, comes through that area. So, that, like I said, I've got the 30 here if you want them. And like I said, the noise, the traffic, and of course I know business is business, but we just did not realize that it was going to be coming in to our neighborhood so far in depth. We thought it would be a car lot between us or something, and that would be the addition to it. And the gentleman that has been now evicted from the home that's going to be torn down, he's been our lawn guy, our fixer-upper, our, call if something happened with a leaky faucet. And now, knowing where he's going to be, I'll see him every, week to 10 days to come over and mow the grass. But we had that camaraderie that, you just don't get with some people that you could call in the middle of the night and say, hey, something's wrong, can you come over here? So that's something that I'm really concerned about as well. And I feel sorry for him because we had become such good friends over the 17 years. But, I don't know all the logistics of everything. I just know what the 30 people told me as I went to each and every home and had them to sign it. And they said, we don't want this. We don't want this extra. But, like I said, business is business. But just to let you know, there are 30 written opposes.
Thank you.
Can I ask Mr. Howell a question?
Sure.
Straight across from that property, I believe, is a brick home on Swope. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe that's 1 Woodard Circle.
Isn't that zone commercial?
It
It
is.
is.
His home is zone commercial also. I was just curious why you don't apply to get an R1 to change it back, so this can't happen there. Just a question.
If you'll give us your name and address, sir.
Live at 1 Woodard Circle. It's on the corner of Swope. And, Ashley's dad lived right across the side of my house on Swope. And, I can't make her speak longer than she did though. But, I asked a cousin of mine that works for their contractor if he'd like to have that right next door to him. He said no. I asked the sales manager down there if he'd like to have it. What do you want to know?
My question was, I believe your house is also zoned C2.
I'm not sure, Miss Woodard that used to live over at the house where the motorcycle place is now.
Yes.
She told me it had been rezoned back years ago when they widened Ringo Road. So I don't know, I've lived there since 1980. I went to the planning commission and got a copy of it, but that's all I know. It's zoned for local business. But, still, they wake me up every morning at 9 o'clock, running those cycles down there for 20 or 30 minutes. And I worked till I was 85 and threw away my alarm clock. And I try to sleep a little later in the morning, but they wake me up with those bikes every morning. They run them for 20 or 25 minutes, something like that, sitting out there idling. And it's gonna be worse when they build this place.
You can have your C2 changed to R1 and nobody can build another company across the street. You can have your house changed from C2 to R1. You can apply and it'll come here.
They bother with it. I plan on living there till I'm dead unless this forces me to move. I'm a widower. Since Ashley's dad had to move out, he gets lonesome. I don't have nobody to talk to.
I got you.
He sit on my porch a lot, back porch, and do anything. So.
That's all I got.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Go give us your name and address, please.
My name is Dorinda Boyles. I live at 27 Woodard Circle. My husband and I live there longer than anyone else that's currently on the circle. When we married, we moved there, and we've lived there since 1968. Soon be 58 years.
Wow.
I would like to say this, in the 58 years that we've lived there, and I've even told some of the employees there as I was walking and walked by and in the parking lot, that's the best that corner has ever looked in the time that I've lived there. But that doesn't mean that I want them to expand even further into my neighborhood. They mentioned that they would be unloading in the parking lot of Easy Auto, would have to, because there's not room on Swope. And we have had situations in the past where there have been little businesses in the old shop that was there that would park in front of the building on Ringo Road on the side. And when that happens, you cannot see to get out of Swope Drive onto Ringo Road. I have seen trucks in the turn lane at Easy Auto unloading, but I personally have not seen any trucks in the parking lot unloading. And as my husband, he's in the auto parts business and calls on lots of businesses where they repair cars and so forth. And he has said, used cars are not selling. Easy Auto is a used car lot. And if you've lived here for any length of time, you know they no longer carry the inventory that they once did. And since they have so much room, I don't understand why they don't build their building on the property of Easy Auto and then ride those little segways across the street to their property. Where they're going to put these, I don't know, because every day they pull their motorcycles and other vehicles out and park them in their parking places where a customer's supposed to park. But I don't know, and that is where that sinkhole has been. And there is no guarantee, I don't care how many times, they've already filled that sinkhole about 3 times and paved over it. And Woodard Circle, they have done like Mac Smith. They've paved patches of it. They've not paved the whole thing. But even if they did, we have no guarantee that that sinkhole won't open back up. And if it does, you know, how much bigger could it be? But I don't approve of it, and I just want to express my opinion.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Name and address, please.
I'm James Forrest. I also live at 27 Woodard Circle.
Okay.
I would like to know, they say they're going to unload on the car lot. How are they going to move these side by side, weight from the car lot to the motorcycle shop? Are they going to go across Swope Drive? Like I say, there's already been a sinkhole that was there for about 2 or 3 months before it was fixed, after they hooked up to the sewer. And they just had a sawhorse out there over it. I know some of the people are turning and going the other way to get back out on Ringo Road. And when they unload the cars, they've been unloading them in the middle of Ringo Road. Like I say, you can't turn, you can't see getting out. They have pulled the tractor trailers up on the Swope Drive, so it's an area you can't get by then. So, you know, they're going to fork truck them or hand truck them across. That's going to make that more and more dangerous for people trying to get down Swope Drive.
Thank you, sir.
My name's Frank DeGarmo. I live at 12 Woodard Circle. Little history about Mr. Silver's house. This whole corner we're talking about, including where not Easy Auto, but EA Power Sports, or the zoning change plus 1504, and Mr. Silver's house, that was all part of the Woodard property, and way back when, the whole thing owned C2. Because they owned businesses on the corner. That's how it got that way. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, and council members, Giselle. My name is Frank DeGarmo, and I'm speaking on behalf of our neighborhood. around Woodard Circle and Swope Drive. We are asking you to deny this zoning change from R2 to C2. We don't want C2. And I want to tell you that I agree with Dorinda Boyles. The corner looks better than it has looked ever in the time that we've been here where EA Power Sports is. That's not the problem. This zoning change would permit EA Power Sports to expand into a dealer franchise for Segway utility terrain vehicles, which is not a problem. But in addition to more showroom space and a place to build out or to assemble, the change to the new UTV sales requires sufficient space for semi-truck deliveries and forklifts to move crates up to 1 ton. Believe these things are large. Now, one of you seen the video that I found of unloading a Segway UTV off a semi-tractor. These things are as big as some of the small cars. The crates are as large as a small car, maybe that you might see in the parking lot out here tonight. So the crates are large, up to a ton, certainly several multi-hundred pounds, and then up to maybe 2,000. They're large metal framed crates. And they have to be moved into an assembly area where new machines are assembled and prepped for sale. Now note, the issue here is not the business type. It's not really a problem. The problem is the location is in this spot will penalize, number one, a thriving neighborhood here of East Ridge voters by allowing a light industrial business or activity into a C2 space that is clearly too small. The second is it's going to degrade public safety. Now, in regard to the area being too small, East Ridge already has 2 power sports dealers, both of which are also zoned C2, but occupy sufficient land to safely handle semi-truck deliveries, unloading, staging, assembly, and storage. One of the dealers is Pandora. It's strictly motorcycles. I don't think there's any side-by-sides. The other one is Honda Power, Southern Power Sports. They do it all. And then there's going to be a third, Mountain Power Sports, down at Camp Jordan and around Bass Pro, or the golf place, Top Golf. And they will soon be building a new dealership on Camp Jordan Parkway with all the space, facilities, and handling equipment for what is clearly a light industrial activity that features forklifts moving heavy freight, operating in warehouse space, at least 1 loading dock, space for semi-trailers that require wide turning radiuses and long backing distances, and they'll be breaking down these large crates and final assembly of the products to be sold in a retail area. Now, you have to note that C2 zoning never says you can't do light manufacturing. It kind of implies you can if it doesn't bother anybody. If you're going to do light manufacturing, that's M2. And apparently it's C4. So if you go to Pandora, if you go to Southern Honda Power, they're doing all this stuff, but the trucks are way back on the property, backing up to loading docks, dropping down. The forklifts roll into, well, in the case of some of the UTVs, they are already back to they have the batteries and everything. They start them up and drive them off. But the Segways do not. They have to be unloaded with forklifts. So, but in the case of Pandora even, the trucks can drive back behind the building and unload at the dock. And it's going to be the same way at Mountain Power Sports. Now, East Ridge could have a 4th power sport dealership, and that's EA Power Sports, but located on a lot that is physically too small to operate in the same self-contained way as the other power sports businesses that are on large C2 parcels or in C4 zones. There will be no loading dock. There will be no room to maneuver semi-trailers on private property. There will not be freight receiving areas or warehouse facilities that can accommodate light industrial activity of the type that is vaguely permitted in C2 zoning rules. It is vague. It said as long as it as long as it is related to the retail activities, basically what it says. And in addition, there will not be sufficient land area on this plot at 1502 to provide required landscape buffers, noise buffers, visual buffers, or stormwater controls, and still have sufficient area left to build a light industrial business involving movement of heavy freight, forklift operations, assembly of product, and storage of finished units, and do it unobtrusively. And that's a C2. It's got to be unobtrusive. East Ridge already has multiple other locations where this type of operation is appropriate, safe, and expected without forcing an industrial-style activity onto an R1 neighborhood. Now, the reason it's forced onto the R1 neighborhood is coming up, public safety issues. This property sits at the entrance to our neighborhood, near the intersection of Ringgold Road, but not on it. Since there will be no access on the EA Power Sports property for semi-trailers to maneuver, the plan is to stage freight in the Easy Auto car lot on the opposite corner and then move forklift loads across our neighborhood entrance at the intersection with Ringgold Road. And this is not a straight shot. You don't pull out Easy Auto, you pull out and go across to EA Power Sports. You pull out Easy Auto, go up slope, turn right, maybe if there's space, and in a little drive and put it in this whatever new building you're going to have. Now, you can't get a semi in there, so it has to be something like that. These things like, so you're on a public street with a ton of material on a forklift that's bouncing. And then you got, what, first responders and people trying to go home, people trying to go to work. You get the picture. So what you have is the plan is to stage the freight in Easy Auto car lot on the opposite corner and then move the forklift across the street at the intersection. And it means forklifts carrying 1-ton UTV crates across a busy intersection, semi-trailers staging in cramped space, turning movements that can impair sight lines, a busier intersection that can accommodate these movements without blocking lanes, backing into traffic, or spilling into the neighborhood entrance. It will create congestion, confusion, and significantly increase risk of collisions. Those of you who vote yes for this change are voting to create a point of conflict that permits industrial forklift traffic to commingle with neighborhood and highway vehicular traffic at a busy intersection. It will increase the risk for personal injury and possibly interfere with first responders. No neighborhood entrance should ever be turned into a freight handling zone. This is the neighborhood entrance for Woodard Circle. Okay, who pays for the mistake? If this change to C2 is allowed and the business is not viable, or it moves because it needs more space, the damage is done. It's the fourth power sports business in this area. It is right now even. Well, who says it's going to survive? And if it doesn't, the neighborhood loses either way. Or perhaps we get zoning creep. Somebody goes to 1504, tries to do something there. But it won't be light industrial because that's even deeper into the neighborhood on that little 2-lane street. It would be better for everyone if the new owner simply rebuilt a suitable space for offices on his current R2 lot and placed the Segway operations on his ED Auto used car space across the street, which has direct access to Ringgold Road. So we're not against the business. Questions that are raised: why does EA Power Sports get an exception to crowbar its operations into a space that is clearly too small and in a residential area, when the other similar businesses around here, they've done everything. They've done everything they need to do to stay out of the way and conduct retail operations. How did this request even get to the city council without these issues that I'm talking about and that we've talked about tonight have raised, that I have raised, and without them being addressed by the zoning committee? I mean, we shouldn't even be here tonight. They should still be trying to figure this stuff out, or they wouldn't be doing it at this corner. There's just not enough room. We are not opposing this business. We are opposing this location for the proposed activity. East Ridge will soon have 3 power sports dealers operating safely in appropriate facilities. EA Power Sports would make it 4 dealers in East Ridge, but this neighborhood interest is not the place for freight deliveries, forklifts, assembly operations, or industrial-style activity. For public safety, the protection of our property values, the preservation of our neighborhood, and respect for the citizens who elect you to protect our interests, we respectfully ask you to vote no on this rezoning request. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, sir. Any questions?
Thank you for the copy.
Yes, thank you.
If you go down one block to Maxwell, you know there's a L-shaped there with a grass area where they're in front of it, and the post office behind it. When the post office was built, we had a similar session such as this. That area, before the post office was built, was nothing but a field. And the kids used to talk about going over to the field to play. We even had a hot air balloon that would launch from the field. It was nothing but a field. There were no homes except across the street that were affected. And, you know, they were not happy about it, but they were glad to get the post office. But now we have an O'Reilly's in front where the houses were, right on the block. There used to be a service station there. Like I said, I've been in East Ridge since I was 4 years old. I can tell you all about it. It has changed tremendously. Behind O'Reilly's, there are some former residences that have been changed to commercial. But they've kept the house. The houses look nice. One of them was a Thomas Cook something. I don't remember what he did, but I had a guy in my class at school named Thomas Cook. That's why I remember it. There was a Mary Maids. You know, they met there, they got their assignments, they left. It was left as homes. So there was no need for a buffer necessarily because, you know, we already had facing Ringo Road, the business, and then the homes, and then residential homes where people still live. You know, when you go to the post office, there's homes across the street. So, you know, I don't want to see this become commercial. And then Frank talked about space. Hey, what's the question? They already own that one. The next one's for sale, and it's already zoned commercial. So what's the point? You know, just move on back to that one too. They need the space. But there you are encroaching into our neighborhood. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And to reiterate, unfortunately, 1504 was zoned commercial over 30 years ago. That was for us and out of our control. Anyone else like to come forward? Yes, ma'am. Name and address, please.
Posey, I live at 1510 Swope Drive. I've lived there since 1976. Lost 3 homes on our road to Easy Auto. And he wasn't honest about blocking our road. They unload cars there all the time. I oppose it.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Mr. Chandler, would you like to come back up? Do you have anything else you'd like to add before I close this public hearing?
I appreciate the opportunity to come back up. If our operation in any way, shape, or form in its current state is hurting the neighborhood, last time I was at the Planning Commission, I handed out my business cards and I asked them to call me on has my cell phone number. They can call me, and I'm happy to address our operation to try to make the neighborhood safer, to be a better neighbor. The reason why we built EA Power Sports on the current site was that we already owned it. We owned it since the mid-90s, and it was eligible for the border redevelopment zone. And so building EA Power Sports on Easy Auto's current site was not a part of the border zone. So we weren't eligible to receive the capital or a percentage of the capital investment back. So that's why we we built on that property. Yes, opportunistically, we would have loved a bigger piece of property. However, it was something that we already owned, and it was eligible for this. And so I'm addressing the council, I'm addressing you folks right there. We have no ambition to be Southern Honda, Pandora, or Mountain Motorsports. The side-by-side business is interesting. We have a hard time finding used side-by-sides with titles that have been handled correctly because these machines are just naturally beat up. So we wanted a small new franchise where we could get titled side-by-sides that we knew to be in good shape to sell. We think we'll sell, honestly, we think we'll sell 5 to 8 of these a month. That's the best estimate. It's my personal opinion that this assembly shop is not going to increase traffic on Swope and is not going to increase noise issues on Swope or degrade the quality of life on Swope. It is a support facility for the retail operation up front. And so it's not going to be a high throughput operation, and we don't have the ambition or the space at that location to do anything more than that. So my heart goes out to everybody. I'm sorry this has created such a contentious issue. That was not the point. That was not the point of this endeavor. But the fact of the matter, of the whole matter remains, we've got a several $1 million investment on Ringgold Road, and we do need the extra assembly space, and we will try to operate it, if it is approved tonight, in a manner in which I would be proud of. And if for some reason we fail at that, I am happy to make my contact information public and address any concerns. And again, if there's any other restrictions that would like to be placed on that property that are reasonable, we're happy to do that as well. So again, I'm sorry this has created so much consternation. That really wasn't the intent, and we don't want to hurt any of you. And so with that being said, if there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I have a question.
Knowing the business and knowing what this building is going to be, I can confidently answer it doesn't, to be honest with you, the way the house currently looks, I don't think helps your property values or your neighborhood. And I do think that us cleaning it up and making it look like the operation up front is probably going to help your property better. That's my opinion. Understand. It's not an additional showroom. It's a final assembly place for something that we're likely going to sell 5 to 8 of a month. But these are big vehicles. They're car size, I think. And so you got to have the space to put them together.
So to that point, and to a question that was asked by one of the residents, is there a space on your current Easy Auto? Can there be some type of consideration, agreement? Is there any place on Easy Auto that you could build this facility to assemble it? It would be assembled there. It would still be transported, unfortunately, but it'd be transported over to the sales floor, which would still bring Border Region, but you wouldn't then have to have the assembly facility built behind it. Is there room on Easy Auto, and is that a consideration that you could take back?
While we have the ability and the capacity to unload trucks on Easy Auto, I will address the transporter that's unloading in the street. They shouldn't be doing that. We have plenty of room on the property to do that. But we still operate a good business at Easy Auto, and so I don't want to give up inventory space at Easy Auto to build this facility. So.
Okay, I had to ask. Any other questions from council? Anyone else in the audience? If you could please come forward so we can be heard on the recording, please. Sorry to make you get up and walk.
No, on the noise part, we talked about the traffic and all the running through the neighborhood and everything. Okay, this is 1502, then you got 1504 that's up for sale. 1506, in talking with my neighbor there, he has a child that's autistic, nonverbal, and noise is like really horrific for him. So what kind of noise barrier or what hours or what should he expect, and try to keep his child to where he doesn't just totally go ballistic, you know, because of the noise? I mean, I've dealt with autistic children. My husband has a form of autism, so we kind of know how all that works. And we were just wondering, is this going to be a Monday through Saturday? Is it going to be a 9 to 10 or 9 to 6 p.m., you know, assembly, all the noise going on with that?
So I think your question, there's two different answers. You mentioned 1504, and then we're talking about 1502.
Right.
So with 1502, Mr. Howell, remind us what restrictions, if it's rezoned, if it's rezoned, there can be restrictions placed on it, and I'll have Mr. Howell read those out again for buffers and things like that. If 1504 sells to Easy Auto or anyone, it's already zoned C2. There is no restrictions. There's nothing, no restrictions we can place on it because it was rezoned 30 years ago, and we're having to deal with that. The decision made that far back. But on this particular property, we can put restrictions. And what were those that came out of planning?
Yes, Mayor and Council. So staff highly recommended to install a 6-foot privacy fence along the southern property line of the 1502 slope. Limit the building height, which would be the currently C2 district allows 72 feet with a 4-foot parapet. So in the residential, you're allowed 35 feet in height. So we'd limit that. Also limit exterior light guideline or implement exterior light guidelines on that. Establish use conditions which would not allow many of the uses which are allowed in the C2. This body can place those conditions on it to have them regulate automobile service stations, car washes, repair garage, ambulance services, miniature golf courses, drive-in theaters, outdoor amusement, recreational vehicle camps, and other camping facilities. Like I said, there's a wide range of uses. C2 has the widest use range of all the districts, so to limit that would greatly reduce any type of disturbance in that area.
And you were talking about a 6-foot privacy fence on the property line between 1502 and 1504.
That's correct, because ideally, when you have two C2 districts that butt together, there is no landscape requirement. So they could come in here right now, you know, if it was approved to zone, and they have no buffer for that residential property that is zone C2. No buffer whatsoever.
Well, in your personal opinion, what kind of noise should expect when y'all start assembling?
So the Monday through Saturday, our hours are 10 to 4. The team normally arrives 9 or 9:30, and then they start putting our inventory out on Ringgold Road for sale. This facility, they would start, 10 a.m. On final assembly. The last part of it is they crank it up and they drive it up front to the showroom.
Okay. Okay, that was my question because I was concerned for my neighbor at 1506 and the child, there, which I can see catty cornered from my front door, and very sweet.
Understand.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Frank DeGarmo. Chairman. You're forecasting, say, 8 units a month. Okay, well, you've answered my question. Would you stop at 8 if somebody said you knew you could sell 15? And you could sell 15 and found it could be 20, would you do 20? And what would that do to the inventory movement and the freight and all that stuff coming in?
I think those answers are fairly obvious.
Okay, so that was my point about this is a starter. And if the business grows, they're out of there, or the neighborhood's going to get clobbered, or it's going to fail. You can't stop at 8. I don't think.
Well, that's not the only business we have. Right now, we have a large used inventory, and that's primary.
I have no problem with what you're doing. In fact, if it was just going to be all self-contained, I don't think I'd be.
I'm going.
As long as y'all offsets and all that, and things pretty. But the problem I see is traffic on the road, and the deeper you go down slope with forklifts, the more people are going to be angry, and, you know, you'll have an accident and somebody's gonna be mad.
All right. Anyone else? Thank you, sir. So, this is a contentious, as someone said, multiple people said, discussion and request and rezone. But I want to be open and honest and upfront. And, you know, we're going to vote here shortly, but I want to make sure the neighbors realize and understand that this situation we're in has occurred decades ago. That if 1502 is not rezoned and heavy conditions can be placed on it, there is an opportunity, as someone said, 1504 is for sale. It can be purchased, and we have, this body in this city has can put no restrictions on it. I think I heard an intent they might do it. They may change their mind from y'all's comments and concerns and safety, but that's not a guarantee, and I have no idea what they're doing. I haven't spoken with them, and I won't be. But I just want to make sure everyone understands. We understand your concern, but this has been set, unfortunately, way prior to anyone on this council. So, is there any other statements the citizens would like to make before I close this public hearing?
Power sports lot is a good one.
But he just said he wasn't interested in that.
We don't want him doing what he wants to do. I don't really mind if he puts a building where he's gonna put it. It'll probably be nicer than the house that's there. I mean, it's that part, but to put something in and to say, oh, this is okay because we're gonna have 2 tons of a ton of material and 2 tons of forklift driving up the street back and forth on residential streets, I don't get it. Slopes already, potholes, are fairly fixed now. And it was caving in right there where the sewer was connected. So, I'm just telling you, I think you're gonna hear more from people, and it's gonna lead, I don't know what, I may be dead, but there's gonna be an accident down there if you got forklifts commingling with traffic.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Hold on a second, sir. If I could ask you, wait till you get here, give me your name and address, and then so we can get it recorded. Thank you.
My name is Ernie Powell, 3 Woodard Circle. So when you come in Swope, or you can come in the other end, when we have bad weather, and the other back street, and the other side on the street on the other side, when all of that floods, the only way you've got is that entrance right there. And we have had trucks blocking, unloading cars and so forth. We had that huge hole where you couldn't even use it for a while. We had to go out the other way. But if that floods, you know what I'm saying? If you got it too busy here and you can't get out over here, then that's a huge problem to me. I just wanted to bring that up because we do have a huge flooding problem over there on that other.
Well, there shouldn't be any blockage of the street. They can definitely get a hold of our police department to take care of that. So anytime that occurs, you can make a phone call to the police department.
Okay, thank you.
But, well noted, thank you. All right, anyone else before I close the public hearing? I see none. I will close the public hearing and we will move into the actual ordinance.
This is ordinance number 1244, an ordinance of the East Ridge City Council to amend the zoning regulations and the zoning map of the city of East Ridge, Tennessee, so as to rezone the property located at 1502 Swope Drive, tax map number 169K-B-003 from R2 Residential Duplex District to C2 General Commercial District.
Thank you, sir. Council, I'll entertain a motion for ordinance number 1244.
Make a motion to deny ordinance number 1244.
Second.
We have a motion to deny by Councilmember Cagle and a second by Councilmember Ezell. Do we have any discussion? See none, roll call, Ms. Dietrich.
Vice Mayor
Oh, hold on, I'm sorry, I should have said this. So a vote yes is to deny this request. I'm sorry to interrupt, go ahead, Ms. Dietrich.
Vice Mayor Tyler,
No, I think a vote for yes is to expand further into the neighborhood than they want.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Ezell,
Yes.
Councilmember Witt,
No.
Mayor Williams.
Yes. The ordinance is denied. We'll move to item C. It's public hearing for ordinance number 1245.
An ordinance of the East Ridge City Council to create a new Chapter 11 under Title 9 of the East Ridge Municipal Code establishing regulations for operating a mobile food vending business within the city of East Ridge, Tennessee.
Thank you, sir. You or Mr. Howell?
How would you like, Mr. Howell? I know I'll start, and Mr. Howell certainly can supplement. He and I have worked on this now for, I think we're now over a year, I think, at this point. And really, the process has been great. I think it's the way it was done. We had multiple city council meetings discussing various versions of this. We've looked at enough. The version that was preliminarily approved to send this to City Planning Commission is now back before you. It is unchanged from what was sent originally to Planning Commission. It's been through the Planning Commission and received unanimous vote for recommendation of approval. And now it's before you all for first reading, consistent with the language that was reviewed, I think, back in February of this year, I think.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Howell, anything you'd like to add?
Overall, I mean, this ordinance creates a great framework for the city to allow food truck operations, and I think it's going to be, it'll also protect public health, safety, and compatibility with surrounding businesses. So overall, I think we've done a good job on it, and I think it'll be great for the city.
All right, I will open up this public hearing. This requires a public hearing, so you both have discussed this, so I will entertain anyone that would like to come forward and address the council concerning in favor of or opposition to the mobile food truck ordinance. Yes, sir. You'll give us your name and address for the record, please.
Absolutely. My name is Kenny Custer, 6739 Ringo Road. I'll be representing a couple businesses, F&B Concessions, Red Wolves, and Stadium Development Company. So, first of all, let me say, I understand you guys put a lot of work into this. I appreciate it. I've spent a lot of time working on ordinances in the past, and I know how challenging that can be. The body and framework, just as Michael Howe said, I think it's really good. I think there's a lot of good, positive things in here. The one and the few challenges that I have, I want to start with how it reads. So, the ordinance states its purpose is to provide reasonable opportunities for mobile food vendors to operate with the city. Quote, and I agree. Food trucks help us do exactly that. They increase fan satisfaction, support local entrepreneurs, and activate the stadium footprint for major and small events. So, having a guideline to go by is really not problematic for us. The challenge that we're faced with is this is what we do 20-something times a year. And I'm not sure outside of Camp Jordan, anybody else does that, right? So we're also not on public streets. We're behind a gate, private property. And I know that there's other provisions for us to apply for applications and zones and all that, which is great. But again, that's an application process with no guarantee. The guarantee that I have right now is contracts and commitments through November. So one thing this doesn't state is, like, generally, like everything else, unless I misread it in here somewhere, if this body passes this at the next meeting, it goes into effect right then. How do we deal with our existing contracts, obligations, and promises that were already made in advance of this legislation being drafted? So that's something I would at least like you ought to take back in between meetings and see what makes sense on that. Because that can be somewhat problematic. Now, unlike how most people operate food trucks, they show up, they schedule them, they operate them, they leave, they move on. All the food trucks within our group that we bring in, they operate under our own POS system. So if they're going to operate with us, their menus get loaded in our POS system, so we know that every dollar is documented and calculated for the location. So even if they're licensed in Dalton or Chattanooga or whatever, it's not coming back to that home address. It comes back to One Stadium Way, which obviously we know why, and that makes sense for us to be able to do that, to show that the taxes are coming back to Eastridge the way that they should be. So there's a lot of things I think that we do a little bit different. But so they actually, even though they're their own entity, they operate under F&B Concessions, which is a health department approved, licensed business that we actually have on site. Some of the restrictions, I don't feel like they're terrible for us because we do have space. I think there's going to be some challenges down the road on certain other occupancies, maybe if you decide to do that with, you know, the space challenges. I'm not sure who all was involved in crafting the ordinance, whether it was food truck operators, people that use these businesses on a regular basis, that, you know, kind of this is what they live for. And I would like for you all to really consider that a lot of the food trucks are really small business entrepreneurs that are trying to do, they're more startups. Some of them are not. Some of them have multiple food trucks. But you're also getting stuck in redundant regulations. So you got regulations in Chattanooga, regulations everywhere else in Hamilton County, and then you're adding another layer of regulation. So for us, we're going to apply, we'll go through the processes and we'll do everything. The only concern, like I still have, is the way the zones are going to be laid out. The application period, you get one council that agrees with it, one council that don't, and then it starts interrupting the continuity of business. So that's where I think it could be a little bit cumbersome. But at the end of the day, I think the basic framework is pretty good. I don't see a lot of things that I would even really change or modify, except for just making sure that the cost doesn't become prohibitive or become, you know, something that doesn't make sense for not only the enforcement, because now they've got 3,000 pages worth of codes they got to enforce, and now another 15-page document on food trucks, and then it mentions police, and I'm sure police have much better things to do than monitor food truck operations. But so that's really what I have to add. I think, like I say, I think we've needed some sort of regulation template, because all we had was solicitor / peddler, and it doesn't technically fall into this. And the whole idea, and I'm sure the whole intent, was to keep people from just randomly popping up on random driveways and businesses and parking lots, because we've all known that's been an issue for some time. And so there has to be a framework and stuff to go by, but as long as it's sensible and it doesn't create too many unintended consequences down the road, I think it makes complete sense. So I just wanted to add a little bit of 2 cents. I support the regulations. I just don't want it to decrease our ability to provide fan engagement and fan experience, because it's really important to us. We have 3 to 4 every single game. Just this last week, we had a pizza place, we had the ice cream place, we had another kettle corn group set up, and we've got people that are committed. Some have committed to every game, and so they've changed their schedule to make sure. So that's one thing I think we do need to understand is through this application process, how do we continue to operate? Can we continue to operate until it's finalized? I don't believe it spells that out, and I can connect with Mr. Litchford. But
So, yeah, I made some notes. Do you have?
No, if you want to go ahead. If you want to go ahead.
Well, I was just, the first was, you know, Mr. Custer mentioned about the effective date and how does that impact his existing contracts. I don't think the intent of this is to enforce an ordinance without having some overlay zones established and shutting everything down. But to your point, I don't know that it's stated in here.
Well, no, one thing you can implement just a phasing period, that this will become effective 60 days in the process. There's those that want to immediately submit for an overlay zone, you can do that, with the opportunity then to be heard prior in time, so that overlay is established and it won't disrupt those contracts.
And I anticipated that would be the case. Like I say, I just want to work with you all on a solution, like long term. Anything that I can offer and help, sometimes something may be good, something that may not be what the city is interested in, but at the same time, knowing that how much we utilize this and how much we plan to utilize this in the future, it's just really valid for us to continue to operate this way.
And, you know, there's been a lot of work and a lot of months of went into this.
Yeah,
so and, you know, we're going to miss some things, and it's great that you bring up some things, question some things, but, you know, also about the application fee. You know, again, you know what happens when you assume, but I would assume it's not like you got to reapply and be reapproved. It'll be more like our beer permit. It's just a fee that's due every cycle of every year on annual is renewed. It's not like you have to reapply and be stamped by council that it's approved, in my opinion. Now, again, that's mine, and this is for us to discuss.
And I believe that is the intent. But I also believe if you have certain infractions, that shouldn't be the case. And I
Well,
agree-
that
and I agree with
definitely,
that.
if you have infractions and violations, that we've got that addressed in here as well.
And that I do agree with, because at the end of the day, we're just trying to, citywide, try to follow what we need to follow. But like I say, anything that I can help, like with the facilitation, like I said, we just, outside of Camp Jordan, I'd say we use these more than anybody. And, with 20 times a year at least, not counting some of the other events that we're looking to bring in. So we're going to continue to operate this, and it's, even when we have brick and mortar other stuff, we're still going to continue to operate. So.
Did you have some other things that was
No,
mentioned?
that was the one I took down. That
Okay.
was the big one, is what impact would it have on their contract that they have through November. I mean, it would ultimately if there's a denial, but get the process in here for the application. And when this body met several times, Red Wolves development was one that was brought up several times.
And like I say, I just wanted to be, get here and just give you my thoughts. And obviously it's just an opinion, just because I see the operations every week for the last couple of years and see what works and kind of what doesn't. And trust me, there's things that work and there's things that don't work. And we move things around and we change the way and change vendors sometimes because maybe we don't like the setup or like what happens. So I do believe in that. I would just be cautious on the amount of, I would look, if you haven't already, and see how many layers of applications people have to go through just to be able to come out. Because if they're coming out here and they're going to make $600 or $500 in an 8-hour day, but does it make sense to continue on certain?
This applicant would be not for the individual food truck.
Right.
This is not for individual food truck. This would be for the overlay zone, so the Red Wolves.
Yeah, that's right.
So this is not like if you change out food truck vendors, they've got to go and apply here. That's not what we're saying.
The overlay zone is for me, but I thought the food truck vendors, they have to be inspected, they have to be permitted through Eastridge, through the fire marshal, and they've already done those in other jurisdictions too. So I'm saying we keep adding layers, and this doesn't impact me one bit. I'm just saying, but it may impact some of the smaller businesses.
I get what you're saying now. I thought you were talking about the actual application, okay.
I feel good about that part of it.
Okay.
It's just, some of the others that may be coming from a different area, they're only here once or twice a year, and you're trying to recruit them to get here. And, there's so many different things going on in Chattanooga. Chattanooga just announced their World Food Truck Festival that's coming up in like June or July, and they're expecting a gazillion of them, right? So it's obviously picking up, and it's a good thing to have. It provides variety and opportunity, and people get into it. And there's also a little food truck following. I don't know if you guys realize that, but people will come to certain events just because of who their food truck is. Now, my office is next to like an incubator over in Brainerd, and they have like Food Truck Fridays sometimes where they shut down the little street out there and they have them, and that's where we find a lot of our vendors. And one of our vendors is that we've talked to is in here tonight. So like we've met people in here, great people that just want to go out and provide a service, and they're not going to go out and set up a store. We get that, but then they're also not trying to make $50,000 a night. They're just trying to provide a service, make an honest living, and provide and then having owners provide opportunities. But I do agree that it shouldn't be one of them snot things where you just show up, park on somebody's lot, throw out a table, and be like, "Here, I'm selling everything all day," because we have had those issues in the past throughout the city, and we need to get away from that for sure. But
Awesome.
An organized plan, I can support that.
We got the notes to address those. We can talk here after the public hearing if we want to discuss it, council, if we want to address it individually with trial and the attorney, but we made notes of those.
That'd be great. I appreciate it.
Good points.
And then
Thank
if anybody's free, we play Birmingham Legion on the 16th this weekend in the Cup, so they'll be here. So if anybody's interested, 7 o'clock.
Awesome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to come forward? Yes, sir. Provide your name and address for the record.
Yep. My
my name's William Worley. Address is 1318 West End Avenue. This is Jamie. We own Wicked Wieners, hot dog, whatever.
It's Wicked Wieners, hot dogs, and others.
Okay.
Okay, we take, last year alone, just our trailer, we raised $6,000 for Forgotten Child Fund. I felt so bad for East Ridge because it's not fair to take that money to Chattanooga. I'd rather put the money back into East Ridge. Because these kids in East Ridge, I get to see them walk the streets some mornings, no shoes on. Here it's summertime, okay? These cars don't care. Nobody cares no more in these neighborhoods. Our truck gets hit almost once a week in our backyard because of people don't care no more. Well, we care. We want children to have Christmas every year. What trailer do you know donates almost $6,000?
If you go talk to Mark at the Kitchen Incubator, he will tell you we was the #1
Food
truck that gave. They had a room over there. It's probably about as big as this, maybe even bigger. We loaded toys in there, and the guy over there brought it out for them to pick up, and they had to. I guess they had to break 2 trips.
And we're watching their people, downtown commissioners, laugh at East Ridge because they're getting a process of watching what's going on in their community and watching our community go downhill. It's not fair no more. I feel sorry for these people over here because I live up behind Clayton Mobile Homes and the car lot down the street. When those 2 side roads get blocked, we have no entrance in or out because Clayton Mobile Homes blocks that whole corner, and that's not fair. I feel sorry for East Ridge Police at night. I have a police scanner. And it's not fair for them because we got crackheads walking the street. I get the police scanner and listen to robberies at night. I throw the community news, and I know half these people don't want it. But they didn't even know what goes on. Because Chattanooga just laughs at East Ridge. Because they're like, we're making the money, you guys ain't. I paid taxes on a food trailer for East Ridge that I don't even get to use in East Ridge. When I go by Park Ridge Hospital and watch them food trucks set up there, knowing we can't set there because East Ridge got these rules, why ain't they being moved? Why ain't they being said, hey, you can't park here? East Ridge hasn't adopted the contract yet.
Right. That's why we're trying to create a food truck ordinance. So, any comments, recommendations to the current one, we'd appreciate. And thank you so much for donating and all that you do for the charities.
Yeah.
Because this year, I already worked on coats for tots. Because they're supposed to be back here at Camp Jordan. The back to school drive, I've already got book bags, school supplies. I want to donate to my community, not Chattanooga.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Appreciate that very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? I don't see anyone, so I will close this public hearing and we'll move into the ordinance 1245.
An ordinance of the East Ridge City Council to create a new Chapter 11 under Title 9 of the East Ridge Municipal Code establishing regulations for operating a mobile food vending business within the city of East Ridge, Tennessee.
Thank you, sir. We had some questions and clarifications. Council, do you want to, I'll entertain a motion if you want to. We have a second reading, so it is possible that we could adjust this between the first and the second reading after getting some feedback and some input during the public hearing. So I will, with the will of the council, how would you like to proceed?
Do we want to make a motion to table it until you look into that?
To approve and then
I'd
have a
rather
conversation.
Yeah, I'd rather approve and then you have 2 more weeks to decide on that,
Yeah.
to
we-
amend it.
This has gone on for about a year. I don't know if we could table for even longer than that.
I got one question.
And
Now, is this just to approve the mobile truck ordinance, not the overlay districts?
This is just approved order.
This is approved the mobile truck ordinance, not the, yes.
Not the overlay districts?
Right, the overlay districts are separate. that they
They'll
have
be,
to apply.
they'll be applied
That's what
for.
I'm asking.
That's correct.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes, sir.
This is just to approve the mobile truck ordinance, not the overlay. That's gonna be in another set of rules and bylaws.
It'll be an application process.
Be through an application process where they,
It's an
where that
application
packet
process.
would come to you, where you would have, you know, certain submittals such as, an outline of the boundary area of what was being proposed for the overlay district.
Okay, well then I think we need to add some more to this, like, I didn't see anything in here stating a limit on the overlay, how many overlay limits we could have. Then, what the limit is that I could set up my truck in an overlay district. Can I set up every weekend? Every other weekend, it's like the gentleman back there said, he has 20 contracts already for 20 different weekends. Cause these single property owners, but anyway, they're only allowed 2 permits per year. So is overlay districts gonna be allowed 10, 20, 30, 40, 52 weeks a year?
It was my understanding that when we discussed it, that the overlay zones would be treated on a case-by-case basis, and that was the purpose of not putting an overlay district within the ordinance itself, so that we wouldn't have blanket rules, and that the overlay zones would be
It ebb and flow based
handled on
upon
a
the-
case-by-case basis,
Right.
unless I'm mistaken. I mean,
That was,
Councilman Tyler, yes, we discussed that about how many food trucks would be allowed. That would be at the time this came to this body discussion would take place, and the city council would ultimately provide that information, make that decision.
the challenge was trying to do a one-size-fits-all overlay. I'll take the examples here. The interest and needs of the Red Wolves development are different than what we did down here with Mr. White's development. They're just different, whatever, one has a stadium. So this body was able to take an application, meet with the developer or the owner, and come up and craft an overlay that fit that specific site that might not necessarily be something that is wanted at another overlay district. And so that was the purpose is, as council members, you would still have that control because you would have it on a application by application basis. That's why you didn't have a one-size-fits-all overlay ordinance or provisions in this ordinance.
All right, now, that's for the Redwoods. Let's discuss the overlay district up here, the overlay district down here that hadn't applied yet, but they might apply, okay? States in here that the property owner has to apply for a yearly permit or something, okay? Then the vendors that come in have to get a vendor's license. Not for that event, but a vendor's license for year to year. Then also, the property owner signs off, and it says in here, and leasee. So does all leasees have to sign off on what the property owner signs off on to let the food trucks come into take up their parking places,
The reason the language of lessee is in there is to reflect that some properties are not owner occupied, they're tenant occupied. And so to make it clear in the body of this, with respect to a private property, if there's going to be a special event occur there for purposes of having a food truck, either the owner or occupant, i.e. the lessee of that property, would have to go get a special event permit. With respect to the overlay, that would be the person that's coming, the applicant that's coming in to establish that overlay for that particular area that's outlined in the boundary within that application.
okay. I've got a couple more weeks to think about this.
All right. Council, I'll entertain a motion for ordinance number 1245.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 1245.
Second.
A motion approved by Vice Mayor Tyler and a second by Councilmember Ezell. Do we have any discussion?
I just wanted to thank Mr. Custer from the Red Wolves for coming down here and giving his input, and for solving probably the discussion that we probably had the most about this ordinance was how do we capture the sales tax. They've got a clear solution in place for that, and that to me is just peace of mind. And then our local food truck operators, thank you for coming here and voicing your concerns, and we look forward to getting
And
you
support.
up and operating in East Ridge as soon as possible. You're in my hearts. Thank you.
All right, no other discussion? Roll call, Ms. Dietrich.
Vice Mayor Tyler?
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle?
Yes.
Councilmember Ezell?
Yes.
Councilmember Witt?
Yes.
Mayor Williams?
Yes. Ordinance number 1245 passed first reading. We'll move to the next item is resolution number 3814.
A resolution of the East Ridge City Council to authorize and appropriate funds for an actuarial study to determine the costs associated with establishing the supplemental bridge benefit under Tennessee Code annotated Title 8, Chapter 34, Section 211 for certain members of the Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chief Hustleton.
Mayor and council, we're asking the city council to approve what should be around $400 for an actuarial study. For the state to come in, they do the actuarial study to tell us the actual cost of what a new retirement for first responders that the state is now offering. This isn't approving the going to a new retirement plan at all. This is simply the state coming in to tell us how much it's going to cost.
Thank you, sir. Council will entertain a motion for resolution number 3814.
Second.
A motion approved by Councilmember Witt and a second by Vice Mayor Tyler. Do we have any discussion? See none, roll call, Ms. Dietrich.
Vice Mayor Tyler?
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle?
Yes.
Councilmember Ezell?
Yes.
Councilmember Witt?
Yes.
Mayor Williams?
Yes. Resolution number 3814 passed and approved. We'll move to item F, resolution number 3815. Thank you, sir.
A resolution of the East Ridge City Council allowing the Crestwood Garden Club to use the East Ridge Community Center and waiving the fees for such usage.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Giles.
Yes, Mayor and Council. The Crestwood Garden Club is requesting approval of a facility rental fee waiver to continue using the East Ridge Community Center for its monthly meetings. The club meets the second Wednesday of the month from February through June and September through December. The Crestwood Garden Club is a long-standing nonprofit organization affiliated with the National Garden Clubs. They are a 501c3. They all are East Ridge ladies. They keep up with the gardens in front of the community center, the planters at the police and fire station. They did do Camp Jordan's, but some of the ladies are getting a little bit older, so we've kind of taken those over. And then the ones in front of the community center, we've had to cut just because of the construction. But again, they are asking for us to approve and to recommend that us as a city and council waive their fees, and staff and myself do recommend approval of this.
Thank you, ma'am. Council will entertain a motion for resolution number 3815.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 3815.
Second.
A motion approved by Vice Mayor Tyler and a second by Councilmember Ezell. Do we have any discussion? See none, roll call, Ms. Dietrich.
Vice Mayor Tyler?
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle?
Yes.
Councilmember Ezell?
Yes.
Councilmember Witt?
Yes.
Mayor Williams?
Yes. Resolution number 3815 approved. We'll move to item G, resolution number 3816.
A resolution of the East Ridge City Council allowing the Chattanooga Porcelain Artists Guild to use the East Ridge Community Center and waiving the fees for such usage.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Giles.
Yes, the Chattanooga Porcelain Arts Guild is requesting approval of a facility rental fee waiver to use the community center for its monthly meetings. The group meets the second Monday of the month from February through June and August through November for a total of 9 meetings per year. They meet from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. They're a small arts focused organization consisting of approximately 15 older, very lovely ladies. We usually have to help them carry their china patterns and their china plates into the community center. We do set up the room for them and try to help them with their setup and breakdown just because they are older in age. Staff has recommended us to ask council for approval of this waiver and supports the Chattanooga Porcelain Arts Guild. I can't talk. I've been here for 2 hours. Sorry.
Thank you, ma'am. Council will entertain a motion for resolution number 3816.
Make a motion to approve resolution 3816.
Second.
A motion to approve by Councilmember Ezell and a second by Councilmember Witt. Do we have any discussion? I don't have a discussion, but I am excited to keep hearing the community center is going to be open and being used.
Yeah,
Very excited about that.
I've had about 3 or 4 guys this week up moving Hannah back in from the museum over here.
Awesome.
Hannah put all her office furniture together herself. Has got most of that moved in. We've been putting the other things together. Pillar is supposed to be there tomorrow to do one of the final cleanings. They're working on the final punch list now. They are finishing up the gym floor to get the bubbles out and stuff. We had it re-sanded down. As soon as they get all of that, then we'll start on the landscaping in the front. The roof supplies came this week. Interim Chief Williams made sure that we got all the product behind the gym and in a secure location. The sign's about to go up on the community center. So it's all starting to move along.
Yeah, exciting to have it open.
So we'd set the opening date for July 11th, and most of y'all are going to be at TML, I believe, or what is it, on July 11th? Yeah. So me and Hannah are trying to refocus where we're going to do that. So we may do a weekday thing. So I'll have her email all of council for their date. But yeah, no, it's Hannah's been working hard over there. We're in the process of hiring a full-timer, a part-timer, a senior fitness. We're trying to move as fast as we can over there for her. So I've had help all week with her.
Awesome. Sorry to sidetrack us, but it's
Sorry.
great to hear that being reopened soon. So no other discussion. Roll call, Ms. Dietrich.
Vice Mayor Tyler?
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle?
Yes.
Councilmember Ezell?
Yes.
Councilmember Witt?
Yes.
Mayor Williams?
Yes. Resolution number 3816 approved. We'll move to item H, resolution number 3817. Sorry.
A resolution of the East Ridge City Council to declare certain property owned by the city to be surplus to the city's needs and directing disposal of same.
Thanks, sir. Is this you or is this Ms. Skiles?
It's all Mark. I'm just here to help answer any questions.
Notice from the Parks Rec that they've got a lawnmower that they have surplused, I think now for how long? About a year-ish?
No, it's been about 4 months since we surplused it.
And I understand there was a request from Boyd Buchanan School. They had built a new soccer stadium over there, and that, from what I understand, and was told this particular lawnmower fits perfectly with the use of that private school, and so they made a request to Parks and Recreation, and I understand that there was a kind of an estimate value to be figured out somewhere around $800,000. Boyd said they'd pay the top value for it, and so that's how Boyd used that.
All right.
I think it's out of use. It's not being used.
It's not been used in the past 4 years. It's a real mower, which is what you use on a lot of the soccer turf. It's probably 12 years old. A lot of the reels on the side were very worn out, and it was going to be almost $6,000-7,000 to replace and fix this. And again, it's been sitting down there. Boyd Buchanan rents our fields at Camp Jordan. They came by one day, talked to us and said, hey, we see you've got a mower sitting over there. We haven't ever seen it in use as long as we practice down here. And I said, well, we're actually about to surplus it. They're like, hey, can we talk to your city manager and purchase this? Because as we know, we go through Compass, but Compass is an auction. So I might get $10 out of it. Just like when we surplused our bleachers from the arena, those things were worth thousands, and we got $60 from them because they had to move them and ship them and take them. So again, Compass is a gamble. They're great to work with, but this right here secures us at least $800 to $1,000. But I couldn't give that approval. It needed the city manager and the city attorney. Since how our policy and ordinances are written, we have to go through Compass.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Council, I'll entertain a motion for resolution number 3817.
Make a motion to approve resolution 3817.
Second.
Have a motion to approve by Vice Mayor Tower and a second by Councilmember Whitt. Do we have any discussion? See,
So we're gonna get $1,000 for it because she said it between 800 and
Well, I think what, and I'm not speaking for, I think.
Mark
what-
wrote the memo,
a
sorry.
vehicle that has a value of somewhere between 800 and 1,000, we're getting 1,000.
Okay.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Council had been, or city attorney had been negotiating that for me.
all right. No other questions? Roll call, Ms. Dietrich.
Vice Mayor Tyler,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Ezell,
Yes.
Councilmember Witt,
Yes.
Mayor Williams.
Yes, resolution number 3817 approved. That's the last item on the agenda, so we'll move to the discussion of the tentative agenda for May 28th. So the first item on the tentative agenda will be item B, ordinance number 1245, since the rezoning of 1502 Swope was denied. So this is ordinance number 1245, the ordinance of the East Ridge City Council to create a new Chapter 11 under Title IX of the East Ridge Municipal Code establishing regulation and operating mobile food vending businesses within the city of East Ridge, Tennessee. This will be the second reading. So I believe we got this passed, but I believe there's been some discussions about some tweaks or enhancements.
Right.
So-
I think what I'll bring back to you is to the extent that what I understand to be some of the ideas that were raised, I'll bring those back to this body, for this body to consider on second reading.
So anything particular, council, that was discussed that you have more content you want to add, or? All right. Okay. So, sounds like we'll just reach out to you individually. All right, so nothing there, so we'll move to new business. So we have, there'll be a public hearing for an unnumbered ordinance, and then the ordinance itself for the rezoning 403 Donaldson Road, tax map number 156EL007.01 from R1 Single Family Residential District to R2 Residential Duplex District. This would be the first reading. Mr. Howell.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is very similar to ones we've seen in the past where this is a legal non-conforming duplex, which is an area, if it is rezoned back to R2, it would be into conformance. City Council did approve a similar rezoning at 416 Donald Road just this past year for the same rezoning for a legal non-conforming duplex.
Thanks, sir. Any questions, council? I see none. The next item is a public hearing for a unnumbered ordinance, and then the ordinance itself, which is amending 941 relative to Title 10, Chapter 2, entitled Dogs and Cats relative to the registration of dogs and cats. First reading. Sir Litchford.
Yes, Mayor Council, this is just an amendment to some of the portions of the animal code as it relates to registration of cats and dogs. That's all this will do is update this to reflect some of the current practice that needs really, when you look at it, is going to enforce registration as it relates to dogs or cats that are picked up, retrieved, seized pursuant to the code if they're running at large. It also addresses requirement that if dogs are going to be brought to the dog park, they need to be updated with current vaccinations, to the extent that someone is at the park with the dog that they can't be able to evidence current vaccination, they'll have to leave immediately until they get the dog properly current vaccinations. That is one of the state law requires this anyway. But given just the staff and this is removing sort of that blanket registration of all dogs and cats. That's one that really removes that blanket because honestly I don't know that it was enforceable. And two, the practicality of it I think is really the city wants to be work with residents and citizens here. And now, having said that, anyone is welcome to come register their dog with Animal Services. This does not prohibit it. And in fact, the code provides somewhat of an incentive that if you were to register your dog, you have going to be entitled to quicker notice in the event that your pet goes missing because they have the registration. So if they don't have the registration, the code requires a little bit more time for them to locate the owner, but they're not under an obligation to have to undergo an onerous type of investigation to locate the owner. They do the best they can. People that own their animal that they think may have a chance, if there's a chance that it gets out, it's a $25 fee to register your dog, and you've got some security that if it's picked up, it will get returned.
Yeah, because they'll get a tag for the caller and then they're registered.
And they're in the system. So I
In the
mean,
system.
there is value in doing it,
Yeah.
but we recognize that there are people that don't want that, and so this is a way to reach that, achieve an end here. That now, if the dog is picked up, there's an automatic registration because it's sort of a one time it's showing a propensity to get loose. Again, it's a safety thing for the city to be able to locate that owner. They don't want to take on dogs from their owners. They want to be able to quickly find
Return
the
'em.
owners and return them.
Thanks, sir. Any questions, council?
I've got one thing. Man, everything he mentioned there was dogs. Now, we've got cats that are just as much a nuisance being running loose, because in my neighborhood down there around my house, we've got 3, 4, 5 cats that make the trail through there every evening, every morning, coming in, going out. So, and I say they're feral cats, they don't have a home. So if animal shelter comes out, puts a trap out to catch these cats, take them down, get them inoculated and everything. The way it is now, they bring the cats right back to where they picked them up at, turn them loose in the same neighborhood, same spot, then that still creates that nuisance. So we need to figure out some way or another to put the responsibility of those cats, those feral cats, onto somebody they know that I can go to Mr. DeGarmo's house every night and eat, and then leave there and go somewhere else the next morning and get breakfast. So, cats, they leave a distinct odor when they come in and mark their spot. So cats are just as much a nuisance as dogs. But I understand the cat's in the mine family, and we have actually no control over them. Am I right, Mr. Chief?
Yes, sir.
He does. I'll see if I can bring some confusion to this discussion.
Okay.
I don't know why, but from my understanding, what the experts tell us, and this is why we spay and neuter and release them back in the same neighborhood, is that if we don't do that, another feral colony tends to move in, whereas if we release them back, with them being spayed and neutered, they will eventually die off, and for whatever reason, another colony doesn't move in. So that's why we do it that way. But as far as are they regulated, I think there's something in the ordinance that says basically if you're feeding and caring for the cats, even if they're feral, they belong to you. Am I correct on that?
Well, there's some language. Actually, the ordinance excludes people's own, as being declared owners of feral cats.
Okay.
So, but
That may have been the iteration before.
yeah, there's the other studies, and we did look at this. We had this discussion about feral cats, whatever, a while back.
23, when we passed the.
Yeah, and I'm not
Couple
an
of
expert
times.
either, but the other thing I've heard is if you return a cat to a different location, the danger that you're putting that cat into, because you're putting it into a hostile environment, whereas you put it back and return it to where they found it, it's going back to a place that it's got its, I guess, acceptance, level of dominance established. Again, that's just my recollection of what was researched at that time. If this council wants to establish ordinances that would somehow place individuals that are giving food and shelter to a cat that's otherwise declared feral, I can look into that and see what the ability is, the practicality of it, can it be enforced, how's it enforced. I can look at that for purposes of a feral cat and report back to you if you like. This does not address feral cats. This is only for the registration of cats and dogs. But if you want me to look at the feral aspect of what it would take to have an individual declared in the eyes of the Animal Services Department as the owner of said feral cat, I can look that up.
And if I can bring some more confusion, the other alternative, we were just cats at the shelter. I mean, to give you some background, we are at our over capacity of our new shelter just about every day, between cats and dogs and everything else. You know, we had this discussion before when we built the shelter. We didn't, you know, we had the old one that had been there since their creation of Animal Services, and we were, you know, we planned for expansion. We were hoping it was going to be big enough, but we really didn't know what we were going to get when we got there. So we, you know, we significantly expanded the size of the shelter, but we're still at capacity. So we would be absolutely overwhelmed if we just took in feral cats and kept them until hoping someone would adopt them.
Well, correct me if I'm not wrong, that whenever a cat or a dog is picked up, then it's took to the animal shelter, find out it's been inoculated, this. But then after the owner has been notified, we keep the dog or the cat for 5 days before anything else can be done. And I've always been told this, and I'm not for this, but I'm just stating maybe it's a way to handle all these excess cats we've got, but stating in it that we can humanly, what's that word I'm trying to say?
Humanely? Are you talking about euthanize?
Yeah. Okay. But I've always heard that East Ridge was a no-kill animal shelter.
Correct.
Well, it's not stated in our animal ordinance that we have the right to humanly dispose of.
We fall under a no-kill designation in that we don't kill animals for convenience. Now, we can euthanize an animal if it's dangerous or if it's severely injured or anything like that, but we don't euthanize for convenience.
Well, as a convenience, us, the citizens paying to feed a dog or a cat for 500 days, 600 days, to keep it at the pound when it can't be adopted. So,
yes, we have animals there that have been, I think we have one that's been there for well over a year at least. So.
yeah, I see it advertised on Facebook, so that's
But we're not
something I would like to see, you know, to look into.
Yeah, we're not keeping it because we want to, it's just nobody.
Oh, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I just said that they're, because they're unadoptable.
Hasn't been adopted.
Correct.
There's a difference in unadoptable and not being adopted.
If they've been there 500 days, nobody wants the dog because they've been in there and looked at it. So.
So you're asking to have it potentially updated
Yes, sir, on
for
the nuisance of the feral cats and the cats.
to euthanize them?
Well, no, I'm not saying about euthanizing them because that's already in there.
Well, not by convenience. It's only if it is.
Right, I think the discussion, you're saying it's
I guess
not
I'm
in the
confused.
ordinance. It's not in the ordinance that we're a no-kill shelter, but we have taken that approach, is that we meet the parameters of a no-kill shelter. And correct me if I'm Mr. Litchford, but we're not mandated to be a no-kill, but we have taken the conscious decision to approach it that way.
The code contemplates the ability and the authority to take efforts to euthanize. if I understand right, the efforts of the administration from the animal services and that department or division is, their policy is they like to take a no-kill approach with respect to if they can anyway keep an animal alive, they take that approach subject to, not endangering other animals or that animal itself is in some sort of health danger. So it's in the code already to contemplate.
Well, I've not questioned that part. I've just questioned the citizens having to pay to feed a dog. Or I don't know how many dogs we've got down there that we've kept over actually per se the limit.
So, well, I guess as I understand it, this relates solely to the registration. If you want me to look at feral cat issue and coming up with some sort of a ordinance that relates to X number of days, if an animal has not been adopted or otherwise removed from the shelter, then it can, after X number of days, be disposed of.
That's what I'd like for you to do.
Okay.
May I? Cagle, if we can, and this is just a favor to me because we're kind of operating, well, the new ordinance is if the council sees fit to pass this to just concerning the registration of animals, it helps us at the shelter. So we have the new ordinance to follow, and then we can follow it up with the possibility of, looking at mandated euthanization and that kind of stuff. But if we could keep them separate, we can get this part through, which will be beneficial to the shelter.
And if that was my intent, was to this is separate and apart from the feral cat and euthanasia issue, that this one can be moved forward, and it does not foreclose us from looking into the feral cat. We can do that subsequent to the approval of this current version that will be on first reading at the next meeting.
Okay. Anything else?
We do transfers between shelters in an attempt to get our animals adopted out. So.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is an unnumbered ordinance to submit a referendum, the question of amending the charter of the city of East Ridge, Tennessee by amending section 5A of the charter. This will be first reading.
Yeah, members of the council, Mayor, what this is bringing back recollection of, I think it was when we addressed a few things. One, with the city court clerk and the pay, the raise and the salary, and as well as when we had the discussion about the wordsmithing that occurred in 2013, you had the compensation, you had the salary, and what happened in 2013, there was a resolution passed that allowed the members of this body to participate in the same manner of full-time employees of the city with respect to health benefits. This body directed me to prepare a charter modification to specifically identify that there is a salary for the members of this body, but that they may not participate in health benefits unless the cost is borne by the members of this body. That's what this will be. I prepared that. I have sent that to the Election Commission for review. They said the draft I prepared is fine, so it'll come up for you all on first reading. And a reminder, this would be something that would take place at an election on November of this 2026 cycle.
So the approval of this ordinance would then allow it to be placed on the referendum to be voted on.
Correct.
Basically, it's not passing it.
I'm sorry, yeah. This
No,
would
it's
just
okay.
approve the referendum to
Correct.
occur.
No, I think you explained it, but I just had to reiterate it in my own brain. Any questions? Awesome. All right, so the next item is unnumbered resolution to approve the bid for the demolition and replacement of the cabinets and countertops of the East Ridge Community Center. Ms. Giles.
Yes, Mayor and Council. At this time, we have a bid out on the website and that has been run in the paper. We'll open those bids on May 20th, and then I'll write a memo to present to council and mayor on May 28th. But I will not be here, so Hannah Spear, our supervisor at the community center, will present this to you. but I will supply her with all the documentation. I'll be out on vacation, sorry. But I want to get it moving because that's the last piece of the community center to be done inside.
Awesome. Thank you, ma'am. Council, any questions?
I turned too soon.
All right, I see none. So the next item is unnumbered resolution to approve a contract with AMS Collection Services for the collection of delinquent court fines. Yeah, and she is, yep. Miss Cassidy or Court.
I think she got pulled away, I think.
But I think she had something urgent come up.
Yeah, she had to go do some warrants.
Okay.
Yeah, so, anyway, this is something that I understand is gonna be just a contract for the collections of services, that there's an outstanding, amount of delinquent court fines and the ability to collect on those. This service provider specializes in that, and so with the idea that, hopefully, some of these fines can be collected and more revenue for the city.
Thanks, sir. Any questions, council?
We're all,
It costs us nothing. They get paid through the collection fee.
That's correct.
Yeah, and just take it out of
They'll
the
take
proceeds.
we hope to also use them to help collecting on delinquent sanitation.
Great.
Oh. Any questions?
Yes, sir. Could we get an update on the last collecting agency that we hired, from what we were in the hole when we elect this one? So, was the first one beneficial to doing the collection?
They did not use them very long because they weren't, and we have not had another agreement with one, but my understanding, she was at the court clerks conference and talked to this vendor. Then she also talked to other court clerks that were using them, and they have very, very good recommendations.
All right. If no other questions, the last item is the presentation of our fiscal 2026-2027 budget. I don't know if we have anything to discuss, but it'll be presented, or do you have something, Ms. Qualls?
I was gonna, we've waited till we get Mr. Corals on board, which I've been talking to him. I'll be honest, this has been a difficult budget, and not because there's not per se. Mike has helped and everything. Jesse Lejeune, he has earned his CMFO. He's gone through the classes. He is a certified municipal finance officer. He has helped me, as have department heads. But the reason I'm saying it's difficult because of the economy. We're trying to do it with the revenues and everything. So it's been hard this year to try and get it to where we want to still be able to give a cost of living raise. And we are able. Our insurance, we got them down to a 10.5% increase. We have not passed any of that on to the employee. But like the cost of fuel, our bill just for the month of April increased over $12,000. So we're having to deal with just things like that. So it's been, you don't want to, you've got to be so careful. We don't know. Between all the things in the economy, it hasn't been as difficult. This one matches up with 2008 after the housing market. Our knowing of the economics of it with the cost of living and the consumer index, all these it's really starting to, you can start to see in sales tax that people are starting to think about what they're doing more so. So, but we've got it just about, we're right at balanced, so.
Okay. Questions, council? All right, that's the last item on the tentative agenda. Is there any other actions or any other items of business we need to consider for our next meeting?
Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
I did want to mention we have the 2 expiring terms on the Industrial Development Board.
IDB.
And so
We'll be
just try
adding
and
it.
find out if you want to have that on the May 28th for appointment. We have now received 3 applications with 2 open spots.
When,
So, the problem I have with that is the first time since I've been on council, I will miss a meeting.
Okay. I mean, we can push it to June 11th. The term does not expire until June 11th, so it'd be for an appointment starting on June 12th, and the IDB will not meet before then either. So we can wait
We
until
can push
June
it.
11th if you'd like to be
When does the
present.
application process end? Is there a set time?
The
date?
deadline is tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Unless you all wish to extend it to get more applications, but like I said, we've received 3 with 2 open seats.
Are we good with the applicant, the 3 that we have? I think we just had them presented to us just tonight, at least I was.
Yes.
So,
And more applications could be turned in tomorrow, and
Tomorrow.
if so, those will be forwarded to you all and copies placed in your boxes as well for review.
So it's up to y'all, if you wanna wait.
Out of perspective, Jeff, I think I'd rather wait.
yeah, this is your appointment.
We'll make it June 11th.
All right, anything else? All right, seeing none. Thanks everyone for your time tonight. It's greatly appreciated. I hope everyone has a good evening, and this meeting